put us to the next level. And it's a proven point, especially coming off a bye week, of who we are.
DeMarcus, thanks so much.
Thank you.
And the Denver defense gets back 2 key players tonight, cornerback Aqib Talib and defensive end Derek Wolfe. The Chiefs, on the other hand, are without 3 key parts of their defense. Linebacker D. Ford, who came into the week tied for the league lead in sacks, is out, along with defensive end Jay Howard and starting nickelback Steven Nelson. And offensively, the Chiefs are without Jeremy Maclin for the 3rd straight week.
That's a challenged offense, Michelle. 3 touchdowns last 3 games. You can see how Michelle is bundled. It is cold. It was colder before because the wind kicked up coming across the field. The wind has died down for now, so it's more pleasant than it was when Cairo Santos, the Chiefs kicker, and the rest of the specialists were warming up. Cody Latimer is inactive for Denver, so Capri Bibbs is back deep to receive. Flexed into the best matchup of the week. Pair of 7 and 3s, the Chiefs and the Broncos. And off we go on a Sunday night in Denver. And as with so many kickoffs here at altitude, it goes all the way back. It's a touchback, and we'll meet the Denver offense.
Trevor Siemian, Northwestern.
Devontae Booker, Utah.
Andy Janovich, Nebraska.
Demarius Thomas, Georgia Tech.
Emmanuel Sanders, SMU.
Virgil Green, Nevada.
Russell Okung, Oklahoma State.
Max Garcia, Florida.
Matt Paradis, Boise State.
Michael Schofield, Michigan.
Ty Sombrero, Colorado State.
We'll watch Sombrero and that right tackle position. Could be a rotation of players there. They haven't been good, and we know the Chiefs off the edge are very good. Siemian starts from the 25, gets it to the fullback, Janovich, and he will not get back to the line of scrimmage as Derek Johnson, the veteran, pulls him down. Well, Trevor Siemian, of course, you remember the story from the opening night. Here's the kid out of Northwestern who took only 1 snap last year and then becomes the starter for the Super Bowl champs. He's played a little bit better on the road than he has at home. Only 2 of those 12 touchdown passes have come here. The big bump in the road was an injury to his non-throwing shoulder, his left shoulder in week 4. Missed a week, came back after that. Hasn't been as good, but he's feeling better because of that bye week. 2nd down, and this throw complete to Demarius Thomas. Will be a couple shy of the 1st down in front of Ron Parker and this Kansas City defense.
Raheem Nunez-Roches, Southern Miss.
Dontari Poe, Memphis.
Chris Jones, Mississippi State.
Justin Houston, Georgia.
Derek Johnson, Texas.
Rameek Wilson, Georgia.
Hamba Ali, Penn State.
Marcus Peters, West Oakland, California.
Eric Berry, Tennessee.
Ron Parker, Buford High School.
Philip Gaines, Rice University.
And on 3rd and short, it is Houston coming in to make the tackle. And for the preliminary spot, looks like the Broncos are going to be short on 3rd down.
Justin Houston coming hard off the edge. They are happy to have him back in the lineup. Makes a play right off the bat. Here he comes. Almost hard to believe he could get there before the back did, but he did indeed. And this is a guy that had 22 sacks on his resume just a couple of years ago, and he is feeling much better.
Tyreek Hill's been a game changer. There's a snapper change. Thomas Gafford, who used to be the snapper for the Chiefs, snapping for the Broncos, and sent it back to Riley Dixon, who hit a great kick. Flag is down as Hill is pulled down back inside the 5-yard line. Well covered Will Parks, who was a big part of that 2-point conversion we talked about at the end of the game in New Orleans. There on coverage, Pete Morelli's the referee.
Holding. Number 35 to the kicking team. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 4th down.
That's a big one to take away that terrific punt and well covered. Capri Bibbs, the running back, was the man guilty of the hold. And kicked that baby again.
Yeah, right at the tail end of this thing. Really unnecessarily, Bibbs is going to pull his guy to the ground here. Looked like he was in good position, and then just right there you can see yanking him to the ground. No way they were going to come around the edge and block that kick. Boy, what a big change of field position that could possibly be, because that was a great punt.
Riley Dixon, the rookie punter. Hill 2nd to Jamison Crowder of the Redskins in terms of punt return average. Mentioned the snapper change. Casey Kreider, who has been the snapper for Denver, injured his calf on Wednesday, so they had to dial a snapper against Gafford, who has a lot of NFL experience. That one was a little high, but so too is this punt. Dixon's hit a couple of boomers. Hill retreats, sets up blockers. He can hit it quick with speed. Just last second by Justin Simmons. He's the one who jumped over the New Orleans deep snapper to block that 2-point conversion 2 weeks ago.
Mike, I think they just saved a touchdown on that one. Tyreek Hill runs a 4.25, and right at the last second here, by his toenails, I was looking at the rest of it, and there was no way the punter was going to pull him down. Dixon, that was a touchdown saver right there by Justin Simmons.
Hill has been a player who has changed the scope of this Chiefs team, really giving them a lot of a dynamic look here. Dixon, on that first punt, had them pinned back to the 4, but because of that penalty, the re-kick, the Chiefs gained 30 yards of field position. Alex Smith taking over at his own 34. Spencer Ware gets the first down carry. It'll go for about 2 yards. Jared Crick the tackle, and here's the Chiefs offense.
Alex Smith, University of Utah.
Spencer Ware, LSU.
Albert Wilson, Georgia State.
Chris Conley, Georgia.
Travis Kelsey, Cleveland Heights, Ohio.
Demetrius Harris, Wisconsin, Milwaukee.
Eric Fisher, Central Michigan.
Zach Fulham, Tennessee.
Mitch Morse, Missouri.
Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, McGill University.
Mitchell Schwartz, Cal.
The big reason that they brought in Schwartz in part his performance against Von Miller last year when Schwartz played for Cleveland. Extra offensive lineman here to block, and the carry for Ware will only gain a couple of more yards. TJ Ward up on the tackle. Chris, a lot has ailed this Kansas City offense for Andy Reid. This is one down that's been a tough one.
Yeah, and one of the things we're seeing already out of Andy Reid is he's trying to put his offense in a little better position for third down. They had an extra offensive lineman in the game. They're going to try and be very patient with this running game tonight, but now you're sitting here at 3rd and 6, and here come the pass rushers.
Miller, you got Ware, and even Shane Ray, who's a good pass rusher, adds to the mix. Sarkandrick West, the back, 3rd and 6. Here come a whole bunch of Broncos. 6 come. Smith's throw is incomplete. He tried to get it to Albert Wilson, but was well covered by Chris Harris Jr. And it's a 3-and-out to open for KC.
One of the best rushers in the National Football League happens to play safety. TJ Ward is going to come right up the middle here and put some pressure on early and just forced Alex Smith to get rid of the football. So, as advertised so far, here we go with some defense.
They're both really good at it. Dustin Colquitt, remember his brother Britton used to kick here in Denver. He's now kicking with the Browns. Good job fielding that snap as he's able to get it away. 48 on the kick. It was a tough catch of Jordan Norwood, but he brings it in. And the Broncos will take over inside their own 15-yard line. NBC's Sunday Night Football is brought to you by BMW. We only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine. By GE, we imagine a better world, then make it real. By Blue Cash Everyday Card from American Express. And by Rogue One, a Star Wars story in theaters December 16th. Downtown Denver all lit up from Union Station, which has had a great transformation to City Hall. It was last night, or Friday night I should say, grand illumination. See, only 3 games. I'm losing track of what day of the week it is.
Welcome to the club.
Look what you've done to me. Each team 3 and out to start. Drive 2 for the Broncos from the 13, and just a couple of yards on that carry for Devontae Booker. Chris, we talk about good defense. It's pass rushing. It's covering. This guy's been one of the best corners in the league in his first 2 years in the league.
You know, it's just amazing how many times he gets his hands on the football. 5 interceptions, 3 fumble recoveries, a couple of big moments already, but probably takes as many chances in coverage as any quarterback I have ever watched. So you will see greatness out of him. You'll see him give up some big plays, but it's a very exciting watch for Marcus Peters.
In 2, back to the ground, back to Booker to the left, and he'll gain 3 yards there to the 18-yard line. You saw that Peters has 5 interceptions. It was tied for the league lead to start this week. Casey Hayward from San Diego had 1 today, so he has 6. So Marcus will need to grab 1 to get back on top of that list.
Well, he has a quarterback rating against him of just 64, which is 8th best in the league, but he's also given up over 500 yards receiving, which is the 12th most. So you get and you give with him.
Bob Sutton, the defensive coordinator, really can do different things when you have Peters, and getting him back off that game he missed with a hip injury. So important for KC. 3rd and 4, Siemian is pressured and he's pulled down by Justin Houston. Speaking of getting guys back in the lineup, and it makes a difference in your defense.
Well, Justin Houston, we talked about him early on, and this is going to be a long night for the Denver Broncos if they don't get better play out of the right tackle position. They've been playing Donald Stevenson there. He went to the bench. Ty Sambrailo comes in. Sambrailo has struggled this season trying to get pass protection. So for Justin Houston, he could end up having a big night tonight, and he has already started that way.
Last week, first game back after the ACL and LCL injuries kept him out. This time, Riley Dixon does not hit as good a punt. It's a big directional kicking night. At midfield, it'll bounce out of bounds. So it'll be very good field position for Kansas City. Punt of only 35 yards. And put number 50 back in the lineup for the Chiefs. It's a big difference. Justin Houston with the sack. Wherever you are, don't miss a moment of tonight's game. The NBC Sports app. You can watch the game anywhere. Live on your laptop, tablet, and connected TVs. So that directional kick was not kicked far enough, and it gives Alex Smith and the Chiefs, in what should be a low-scoring game, a great advantage. Field position starting at midfield. An incomplete to Travis Kelce, the tight end, who couldn't hang on. Let's meet this very good Denver defense.
Derek Wolfe, Cincinnati.
Sylvester Williams, North Carolina.
Jared Crick, Nebraska. Vaughn Miller, Texas A&M.
Brandon Marshall, Nevada.
Todd Davis, Sacramento State.
DeMarcus Ware, Troy.
Akeem Talib, Kansas.
TJ Ward, Oregon.
Darian Stewart, South Carolina.
Chris Harris Jr., Kansas Jayhawks.
Corner rankings are so good in the Pro Football Focus numbers, and they're really good. Safety play has been solid. You can see why this team's carried by defense, and this is the guy they're going to have to stop a lot tonight. Tyreek Hill using his speed to gain a half dozen on the pass from Smith. It sets up 3rd and 4.
Well, there's no doubt you're going to see a lot of these short, quick passes tonight out of Alex Smith. He does it anyway, but when you're playing against this Denver Broncos defense, it's always a good idea to get the ball out of your hand. So they're trying to go with some of that misdirection stuff early on. Now a little better situation here, 3rd and 4. And this is the time now that Travis Kelce becomes such a big part of this offense. He is the go-to guy in the backfield right now.
Talib at the top of your screen. Remember, he missed the prior 3 games lower back injury. We'll see if they test him at some point tonight. Smith will test Talib with Hill. And Talib is ready. Blanketed the receiver. Penalty marker down, though, in the secondary. Line of scrimmage, the 45. Flag is down at the 35.
Well, Talib passed the test.
Holding. Number 25, defense, 5-yard penalty automatic. First down.
Other corner, Chris Harris.
Well, Chris Harris, clearly one of the best slot cornerbacks in the game right now. And they're going to get called for a hold on that one. And Talib at the top of your screen, running with a guy that runs a 4.25 and stride for stride. So I would say he's healthy. But maybe gassed.
Coming back, he'll take a break. Bunch to the top of the screen for the 41. It is the give to the left to Spencer Ware, who will get close to the 35-yard line. It's a good gain of about 4 yards there on first down.
You know, Spencer Ware's a guy that was a high school quarterback and a good one, and went to LSU to do the same, kind of became a running back. And I said, well, what did you have to learn when you were to play running back? He said, I had to learn to be a whole lot tougher than what I was. He had to crank it up a little bit playing running back. Excellent receiver coming out of the backfield.
641 yards. Of course, the Chiefs without Jamal Charles on injured reserve with his knee problems. So Ware has become the main back, and he has a Kansas City first down right around the 28-yard line.
Yeah, I always thought one of the best players on Kansas City's team was their fullback, Anthony Sherman. He just has a knack for being able to find his way into the gap, and you can tell right now that Spencer Ware just totally trusts him. Get right behind him, get as close as you can, and then make that cut. And that's when you get that great confidence thing going as a running back, when you don't have to think so much, you just trust that fullback.
He's a guy who never carries the ball. He worked in the passing game a bit, but he has one purpose in the run game, block. And he does it well. And to the backfield for Smith from the 28-yard line. has to get away from the Shaq Barrett rush and throws it away. Incomplete.
Well, one of the interesting matchups tonight is going to be Mitchell Schwartz right here, this time working against Shaq Barrett. Mitchell Schwartz, when he's playing for Cleveland, is one of the few guys that ever had a good day against Von Miller. And I think it had a lot to do, Mike, don't you, with the fact that he's here. They said they went back and really studied that tape, and Mitchell Schwartz had his best day, or one of his best days, against the great Von Miller. And they said, well, we just got to see him twice a year. Let's bring him on in. They did.
It was a major money-making day for Schwartz. Guy who's never missed a snap as he's gone through the first, now 5 years of his NFL career. Shaquille Barrett put the pressure on there, and it's 2nd and 10. And here's Tyreek Hill underneath, getting blocking, flag down as Hill gets to the 15-yard line. So a guilty turnaround look from Albert Wilson, the receiver, number 12 for Kansas City. I was wondering if he was involved maybe in pass interference.
Pass interference, number 12, offense. 10-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
You're good making contact within 1 yard, but once Chris Harris backed up and then he stayed on it, if that contact had been made within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage, you're allowed to sort of follow through with that block, but it was clearly a couple yards beyond that. Very close, tough call, but that's one of the techniques I think you just would have to know about Harris is he's going to back out of there just a bit.
Isn't that what you love about football? All right, so all these receivers are blocking. Okay, fine. We're going to use it against you now.
It's like counterpunching.
That's right. Niall Davis, remember he was traded to Green Bay. Green Bay got rid of him, waved him. He's back with the Chiefs, and he's in the backfield on 2nd and 20. Smith got hit as he threw for Kelsey. Incomplete. And two meeting at the quarterback. The pressure came on from Von Miller and Todd Davis, the inside backer.
When the pressure came from the linebacker position, that meant Mitchell Schwartz had to block down, and that meant nobody blocked Von Miller. And guess who paid the price for that? Alex Smith. Anytime you get a holding call or a tackle for loss and you end up in 3rd and a long, I don't think they're even remotely thinking about the first down. They're going to try and get 10 yards and kick a field goal here.
Great point. 3rd and 20, place going nuts. Smith tries the crusher, incomplete for Wilson. Blanketed by Chris Harris Jr. From here, a field goal attempt would be 56 yards for Cairo Santos.
Just a great defensive stand there. You get the short punt. It looks like Kansas City's got a little something going. And then they get the hold and move them right back out of field goal range.
We're going to punt it, the career-long 54. We did mention the wind, a bit of a factor tonight, although not as much as it was pre-game, but this is a game it's a lot about field position. Dustin Colquitt will try to do his part for the Chiefs. And it's only going to be a net of 18. So Kansas City got the ball at midfield, had a little bit going, penalty set them back, and they get nothing out of it. Remember how great the Chiefs were at the end of last year. They won their last 10, so take it with this year's 10 games. They're 17-3 the last 20. Best in the NFL, and they've got a formula. They know who they are. 16 points per game, best in the league. They take it away from you most in the league over that 20-game stretch, and they take care of the ball, so the turnover margin is in their favor. So much is about how do you sell, how do you market? No, who are you? And the Chiefs know exactly who they are, and Andy Reid put it best. Everybody buys into what our style of football is. First down for Siemian, and his pass is incomplete. It was intended for Emmanuel Sanders, and we get a flag thrown with Phillip Gaines in coverage.
Holding, number 23, defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic. First down.
They ask a lot of these cornerbacks. This time Phillip Gaines going to go one-on-one against one of the quickest wide receivers you will ever see, and just a little grab on the top end of that route. And that was enough for the flag there.
And Chris, that's such an important part of what you're talking about with both of these teams. The offenses are okay because they understand we're playing to the strength of our team, the defense.
And don't you think what Denver did winning the Super Bowl last year confirmed for Andy Reid, I'm good playing this way?
Absolutely. Capri Bibbs is the back. It's 1st and 10 after the flag, and and it's his second first down of the game. One by penalty for Denver and one by the pass to Sanders, working on gains.
Well, you'll see Phillip Gaines set way outside and look in at the quarterback. He's as much looking at the quarterback as he is the wide receiver in that position. Unfortunately, by taking that position, you're also leaving open the slant. The Broncos took advantage.
Taylor! Zone 39, Siemian gives to Bibbs. Good run up the middle. The 46-yard line. Big stick by Eric Berry, who came up, and Bibbs is hurt. He's pushing and shoving behind the play, not related to the hit on Bibbs, who is still down. And the Denver athletic training staff out to see the second-year running back from Colorado State. Eric Berry came up with a big lick. Well, Capri Bibbs took a really tough hit from Eric Berry, just set up about 30 seconds ago, and then they walked him off to the sideline. Here's the hit.
Yeah, you could see he got tripped up first by Ramik Wilson, and then Berry was coming up to make the hit, and I think he was as surprised as anybody that Bibbs ended up being that low to the ground, and they both just collided.
So the unaffiliated neurological consultant on the sideline assisting the athletic training staff of the Broncos as they assess Bibbs. We have a flag down here before 2nd and 3. It'll be 5 yards farther back.
And Bibbs.
False start. Number 10 offense, 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
I was just going to say, Bibbs was going to get a lot more action here tonight. They had done some self-scouting during the bye week, and Devontae Booker, they called him into the room and said, hey, we need you to break some more tackles. Look at this. You tell me, could you do more? And Bibbs was going to pick up some of that load, but now it may end up landing on Juwan Thompson, who's active for the game tonight.
So on 2nd and 8 after the penalty, Siemian throws. They're working Sanders over on that left side of the offense. Kenneth Acker in there on coverage. And it'll be a yard or so short of the first down. Again, all the technology to make sure the players get the best medical care, the opportunity to look at the hit just to assess what happened to Bibbs on the play so they can go into the diagnosis phase and everything else medically with a lot more information available to them.
It's good stuff. They really advanced that cause a long way from the days when I was playing. I'm just telling you, the old 3 fingers thing. If you got within 5, you got back in.
3rd and 2, they'll run out of the gun with Booker, and Kansas City is there to stop it. Raheem Nunez-Roches comes up with the tackle. His play has been improving for this Chiefs defense that will send the punt unit on for Denver.
Nunez-Roches just basically blew this. He almost ran right by the ball carrier. He got so much penetration, able to come out the last minute. And Max Garcia, his strength really is his run blocking. Man, what a play by Nunez-Roches.
Well, Garcia right back. So that's the second time the Broncos have been stopped on 3rd and 1. And Riley Dixon will try to pin Hill back. Fair catch at the 12-yard line. Punt of 42. As forecast, defenses dominating. All right, let's see what Jimmy has all new this week. Fallon's going to welcome J.J. Abrams, Emma Stone, Natalie Portman, Chelsea Handler, Ice-T, and John Legend. It's a great week. Tonight's show starring Jimmy Fallon. All new all week here on NBC. Chiefs take over at their own 13, scoreless. Just over 3 minutes left in the first, and Spencer Ware with a very good first down run. It's the one thing that's a bit troubling about this Denver defense. They've been giving up more run yards than last year. Of course, this whole group is put together by the one-of-a-kind Wade Phillips, age 69, almost 4 decades in the NFL, his 25th year as defensive coordinator. And anytime you talk to Wade Phillips, you come away learning about a little defense, and you come away smiling. He's one of the great guys in the league.
I usually come away laughing. You can tell some stories.
Remember back in the day, 93 and 94, he was the Broncos head coach. This is Kelsey on the edge. Travis Kelsey, first down and more. Von Miller and Kelsey have this thing. They have a battle. They love going up against one another, but the tackle's made after the first down at the 35-yard line, a gain of 15.
It is pretty incredible to watch Von Miller get back on a play like this and make a play in the open field against one of the guys that I think is one of the best route runners at the tight end position that I have seen in a long time. Of course, Kansas City fans will say there's at least one other one I can think of that's pretty good, but he really is very talented. Even against cornerbacks, he makes big plays and gets open.
Kick out of the hands of the quarterback to Albert Wilson, and a gain of almost 4 yards as Chris Harris takes him to the sideline. Yeah, Tony Gonzalez ran a good pattern or two in his day.
He wasn't too bad. But, you know, we're seeing the formula. Kansas City Chiefs are using the formula that several other teams have used. You don't want to face those pass rushers, so they're putting in fullbacks. They're putting in an extra tight end. They're putting in 2 extra tight ends. They're putting in an extra offensive lineman and trying to play big boy football against them. Once again here, they go with the extra guy.
Brandon Marshall, the linebacker for the Broncos, trying to get them organized. All those shifts in the formations. Ware comes back to the backfield. Spencer Ware takes the carry, and he'll be a couple of yards short of the first down.
You know, this is a defense, though, with Denver that's giving up an extra 40 yards per game on the ground over what they were a season ago. And Andy Reid fully understood how patient Gary Kubiak was going to be with his running game and his offense. He said, I have to match that patience. I have to stay with my running game, even if we have a bad series or 2.
Third and 2, and they will run for it and get the first down with Ware as he gets across the 45-yard line. So that run game has been effective, and we have seen teams find a way to move the ball effectively on the ground against Denver. Wade Phillips said, you know, when you have a legendary defense, you'd like to keep them all. And there were some guys who left, and for the moment, they're finding some spots to run against this Denver D.
Yeah, Malik Jackson being one of them in there. Danny Trevathan, a tremendous linebacker. I'm sure you would have liked to have had them all, but big money comes after you win a Super Bowl.
Right. Welcome to 2016 in the NFL. After 1, here in Denver, Kansas City nothing, Denver nothing. And Sunday Night Football continues after these messages.
Battle tonight, a winner take all, ain't nothing like Sunday Night Football.
Tonight's aerial coverage from Denver brought to you by Geico. Mike Tirico and for Al Michaels, along with Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya. You get your partner back on Thursday. Al's called a game or 2 of this guy, John Elway, along the way. So many decisions that had to be made around this Broncos team. Everyone talked about the quarterback issue all year, but the players who you keep, as Chris was talking about, when you win a championship and others want the pieces that made you a champion.
Quarterback issue is not over yet either. There's still going to be plenty of conversation on that one.
Put on the radio, it's a, you think it's a 3-7 team, not a 7-3 team.
Yep.
Everyone wants to talk about who's going to be the quarterback. Smith with a roll, looking to take a deep shot. It was covered. Dangerous pass and incomplete for Ware with a flag down. Dangerous because Shane Ray was over there and got a hand on it. The Chiefs line might have gotten downfield a bit too far. Pete Morelli coming over to Gary Kubiak to give him the options on that 1st and 10 play.
An eligible man downfield, number 75 offense. 5-yard penalty, still first step.
Big play here was made by Brandon Marshall right there. He's looking at the tight end coming across the formation here, and then he falls back on Demetrius Harris and really saved the day. That was their home run play. They bootlegged away from that. You saw Alex Smith take a look, it wasn't there, and then Shane Ray got a finger on the ball.
So the accepted penalty takes it back to 1st and 15. First downs in the game in that first quarter. 4 for the Chiefs, 2 for the Broncos. Flex down to James O'Shaughnessy, the 3rd tight end, and Von Miller gets out there to make the play on the 2nd-year Chiefs receiver.
I'll bet you the Kansas City Chiefs think there's 3 of them out there. I mean, Von Miller's 20 yards down the field, and you think, oh boy, this is fantastic. You got Von Miller way out here. He's not going to rush your passer, and then he just wrecks your quick screen on the outside. It's amazing how many times, Mike, that we see him doing something other than rushing the quarterback, and yet he gets the number of sacks that he does.
And he's willing to do it too, Chris. There are a lot of guys who get those sack numbers. But why don't you keep me over here? He's more than willing to get out there and do it. Run with Ware, and he will lose a yard here as Todd Davis joined Darian Stewart, who just got a 4-year contract extension on that tackle.
Well, and what's happening now is the Denver Broncos are starting to get it too. They're starting to understand that the Kansas City Chiefs aren't going to take a lot of chances on the offensive side. So they're starting to get closer and closer to the line of scrimmage. And Wade Phillips is going to start firing a few shots, especially right here.
To get to the Denver 44, and it's quick to Albert Wilson, and only going to get a yard or two in front of TJ Ward. So I can't see he wasn't even thinking about trying to get downfield and get the first down. Just get something, maybe make a man miss. Is Denver defense too good right now?
I hope people out there can appreciate this game. You know, I mean, this is fantastic defensive football. I know people love when they score lots of points, but these two teams have so much respect for the other team's defense. 3rd and 14, that was a give up.
Absolutely.
Here we go in the flat. Let's punt it. Let our defense go win it for a while.
Special teams, a play or two, a break or two is going to be the difference in this game. The lefty Dustin Colquitt kicks it. Jordan Norwood finds some space to get it as DeAnthony Thomas was crowding him. Another long field for the Broncos to start the second quarter. Scoreless. Talk about a defensive-minded game. If you have one of these cornerstones, they can change your defense. And in the same draft in 2011, Houston and Miller both have come and both have made a huge impact. You see where their sack numbers rank. J.J. Watt's the player with the most sacks since 2011. But they have been right up there. Remember the great Justin Houston, 22 sack season. And Von Miller, top 10 in the league, 5 of the last 6 seasons. And these are guys who get chipped, they get doubled, they get backs, they get everything to stop them, and they still change the game. Doing that so far. That'll help the Broncos' cause. Team's only had 2 first downs and 38 yards on their first 3 drives. Looks like Chris Jones was early.
Defense, encroachment, number 95, 5-yard penalty remains. First down.
Yeah, for quarterbacks, they call that self-preservation. Need that hard count every once in a while. Those pass rushers come after you all night long. But, you know, don't forget D. Ford was at least leading the league coming into today with 10 sacks, and he is not even playing in this one. If Justin Houston gets right, look out.
This is 1st and 5, and the run to the left with the Devontae Booker will be short of the first down. Let's talk a little bit more about Houston.
Well, Justin Houston sort of taken over, at least in the first half. It was an early 3rd down stop that he came up with that brought the punter out, then got the pass rush going. Watch the hands, how he's going to work his hands and rip up underneath. You know where we saw that? Pre-game warm-up. He's got that mask on that cuts the oxygen down a little bit. People wondered, they were hoping actually here in Denver that the altitude would slow him down. Not so much.
2nd and 1, and the run up the middle with Booker gets them the first down, so that penalty put Denver at 1st and 5 and allows them to get a little breathing room here out to the 32-yard line.
Yeah, that's the kind of run they're looking for out of Devontae Booker. It was really interesting during the bye week. They essentially called him into a room and put on some of his own tape and said, you tell me, are you breaking enough tackles out there? Are you giving us enough? And now here he comes out and makes a nice run there.
Rookie from Utah tries to get to the edge, and he is held on to by Houston. Minimal gain.
The other guy they have in the game right now is A.J. Derby, number 83, the tight end, and they feel like maybe they've got a guy in Derby that can begin to stretch that field a little bit with the passing game. Virgil Green, an excellent blocking tight end, but they really need that sort of middle of the field threat, and they're hoping it's A.J. Derby. Came up with a couple of big 3rd down conversions for him a couple of weeks ago.
And he also came in as Green came off, being looked at by the training staff. Siemian tries the slant to Thomas. It's incomplete with Kenneth Acker over there in coverage. So the nickel Steven Nelson is out, so they're down a corner. A little more time for Acker, the third-year man out of SMU tonight.
Yeah, and Acker's gotten a little playing time here lately. He took over the start for Peters a week ago, who was out with that hip injury, but can't play it much better than that. And that's one thing that is really kind of new to the league. I don't remember guys playing corner on slants coming underneath you. You think, oh man, how risky is that, because you're going to give up a big play. But time after time, those guys make that play.
Just think about that big body of Thomas at 6'3", how often he's been shielding people. You see Bibbs is back in the game after that big hit. Capri Bibbs
Denver
was lined up next to Trevor Siemian.
30 seconds.
As Denver takes the timeout, we check in with Michelle.
Well, you guys have been talking about Justin Houston, and it's been about 10 months since he had surgery on his left knee. He told us it was a complete repair of his ACL along with a tune-up of the LCL. Now, the ACL is the most important ligament in the knee as it keeps the shin bone directly under the thigh bone. And the LCL is the ligament which keeps the outside of the knee stable when changing directions. And he began the season on the physically unable to perform list. And as you mentioned, Mike, only recently back.
And Michelle, he was telling all of us, a little rusty in that first game out, but when you look at the snap count that he had for that game, 55 played against Tampa. Starting to knock that rust off pretty quickly. He looks good tonight. 3rd and 9 for Siemian. Moved off the spot, he throws, and it's complete to Sanders for the first down. Emmanuel Sanders with the grab onto the Chiefs side at the Kansas City 47-yard line.
Gary Kubiak's going to like that one. Trevor Siemian, one of the things that they were worried about since he hurt his shoulder in week 4 was that he wasn't moving around the same way that he was. He wasn't picking up key first downs running the football. There you see him very comfortably making that move. I would too with Chris Jones coming down at me, but that was the kind of play we saw him make the first 4 weeks he really didn't make in the last 3 or 4.
On 3rd and 9, they picked up 20. Siemian, a first down throw, puts it up top, and incomplete. Acker was trying to get back. 2 flags down as the pressure was coming.
Oh man, Justin Houston's killing people out there.
Number 74, offense, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
The right tackle, Sombrero.
Yeah, and Sambrilo is about to go to the bench because he just simply can't handle Justin Houston. He is a guy that tends to catch instead of shooting those arms out into the chest of Justin Houston using his strength. But you've got to believe now it's just a matter of time until Donald Stevenson gets another shot. Now Stevenson's been struggling too. Clearly that right tackle position has been the one that they just don't seem to be able to come up with an answer for.
And Chiefs fans know Stevenson. He was with Kansas City his first 4 years. Houston right around him again and forced Siemian to step up into the rush, and a sack for Kendall Reyes. He used to be with the Chargers, started the season with Washington. Reyes gets a sack.
Well, here we go, right around the edge one more time for Houston. And then what does that do? It forces Siemian to step up into the pocket, and Max Garcia, whose strength is run blocking, not pass blocking, just gets a handful of Kendall Reyes, and boy, we're seeing this go in both directions.
You can't block him one-on-one. You got to give him some help at this point.
Well, they have been trying. They've been chipping on both edges, but so far not enough. Really, Russell Okung has had a few problems pass protection too.
Second 24, draw time with Bibbs. Back in there, goes to the 47-yard line, gain of 8 for Capri Bibbs, and Derek Johnson, the 12-year veteran, made the stop.
Boy, Derek Johnson will flow sideline to sideline. Both these guys. Ramik Wilson is also a guy that can move very well. But watch Derek Johnson right here, and when he gets to the point of the tackle, a lot of times he takes this low path. He's going to go in there at your knees. You had better have your head on a swivel and know where he is. And sort of fighting off an Achilles injury, limping around a little bit, but fighting through it.
3rd and 16. Houston off the edge again, got Siemian. He is wrecking the Broncos in this first half. Justin Houston.
Watch Sambrilo not extend his arms at all. He just catches Justin Houston. There's no extension. There's no punch. There's no stopping Justin Houston coming around the edge. You either have to chip or take Sambrilo out at this point. I mean, it's just obvious unless you can start coaching him over on the sideline.
Flag comes down as Riley Dixon gets rid of that. Trying to keep it away from Hill. It's a pretty good kick. Going to pin him back inside the 10-yard line, right at the 10. But let's see what the flag is all about.
Holding, number 45. Kicking team, 10-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
It's on the long snapper, Thomas Gafford, just signed by Denver. What a game we have for you Thursday night on full rest, because they both played on Thanksgiving. The Dallas Cowboys at 10-1 taking on the Minnesota Vikings. 7:30 Eastern on NBC, NFL Network, and streaming live on Twitter. Best record in the NFL, 110 in a row. Matter of fact, you'll see the next 2 Cowboy games here on NBC. That one on Thursday in Minneapolis, and then against the Giants a couple weeks from tonight.
It is stunning what they've done, isn't it? What Rod Marinelli's done with that defense, I can't believe. It's stunning enough to see 2 rookies play like that, but I think maybe even more stunning is what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball.
They don't have the people like we're seeing in this game tonight. Again, a penalty is going to cost Denver field position. It's a good tackle in the open field by Benny Fowler, the backup receiver. But instead of being back at the 10, Chiefs are going to get it around the 33-yard line. You love defense? You've come to the right place on this Sunday night. Great institution, Kansas and Lawrence, Kansas. They don't turn out a lot of NFL players, but how about for 1 year they had both Chris Harris and Aqib Talib, and they are in Denver now. Remember, Talib drafted by the Buccaneers, was in the league before Harris. Harris undrafted. Turns out they've got as good a pair of corners as anybody in the league. Part of the Denver defensive story for the championship last year, the 7-3 start this year. Alex Smith and the Chiefs take over at the 34. That pass was deflected as he was trying to get it to Tyreek Hill. Sylvester Williams got his hand on it.
Yeah, and one thing that I think is interesting is that Travis Kelce is one of the great receiving tight ends. Everybody knows that. He's not a real drive blocker in the run game, and I think that's fair enough to say. And so when he now lines up in tight, it's almost as more of sort of a chip. Let's hold Von Miller over there. Let's give him one more thing to think about and then get out in the pass route. But when you throw incomplete on first down, you've got issues now against this defense.
Miles Davis is the back. They give it to him going left, and he gets a yard. Jared Crick got rid of the offensive lineman, shed him to make the tackle.
They're all thinking DeMarcus Ware is one of those pass rushers. I'll draw a skinny circle in there. But he is a guy that takes great pride in stopping the run, and sometimes just his knowledge. You see those veteran guys out there, and they'll actually call out where the play is coming. It's kind of funny. We have some interviews this year with quarterbacks that go, we called out a third of our plays out there. You know, what are we going to do about it?
3rd and 8. Broncos are coming. Smith is running for his life, and he'll just bench it. Just got rid of it. Enough of the pass rush without T.J. Ward, who you mentioned earlier, is so good. Coming in from the secondary as well.
Yeah, they leave Derek Wolfe in the ball game, and as their single defensive lineman, I think that's him right there. But then they bring in 3 of those outside linebackers as pass rushers, and you can just see that Alex Smith has no interest in hanging in that pocket whatsoever. I mean, that thing broke down from the start. Once again, that incomplete pass on first down, basically the drive was over.
Dustin Colquitt to kick it. Norwood, look out, muffs it, catches it in a whole mess of trouble. They'll be taken down at the 5-yard line.
It's entirely possible that's how this game's going to be won or lost. Some kind of play like that.
D'Anthony Thomas and Daniel Sorensen were all the way down, but the mistake was made when Norwood muffed it and pins the Broncos at the 5. Ice is down, the hometown of the Avs. We remind you that we've got Wednesday night rivalry. Penguins are looking good. Sidney Crosby made a terrific run. Pittsburgh will take on the Islanders, followed by the Sharks and the Kings in their California battle. You'll get Wednesday night rivalry coverage starting at 7 Eastern on NBC SN. Well, you saw the problem Sombrilo had to tackle. Donald Stevenson, the former Chief, is in at right tackle. And on first down, Devontae Booker runs left for Denver and gains 3.
You know, they're trying to get some of those stretch run plays going, and one of the key guys for that is their center, Matt Paradis. I think probably, along with maybe a couple other guys, the best center in football. It's so quick off the line of scrimmage. He basically doesn't practice during the week. He has 2 bad hips. He got a couple of practices in this week because of the bye week, and then shows up and just plays lights out week after week after week. 58% of their run yardage right around him.
2nd and 7, everyone out for Siemian. That pass incomplete, blanket coverage. Marcus Peters didn't give Emmanuel Sanders any space.
Well, that's the best block we've seen all night. Here's Donald Stevenson right there, taking a shot at Justin Houston. At least he got in his way. That's pretty rock solid. And you've got to think that Stevenson, who lost his job, who was a former Kansas City Chief, he's going to be loaded for bear coming out here tonight. And he just has to load up against that bull rush. You've got to make Justin Houston use some moves, use something other than I'm just going to run over you.
And here's Justin over here now on the defensive right side next to Tambahali. Maybe they got some game going on here on 3rd and 7. Here comes Houston. Ball is out. And it will be a safety. If it is, and it is recovered, finally held on to by Russell Okun. So the safety there, and Chris, you said it, that muffed punt and the bad field position. Houston gets what looks like his 3rd sack and puts Kansas City on the board. 2-0 Chiefs. Fitting in this game that Houston and the defense score first. Last week was his first game in 44 weeks because of the knee injury. I'll say the rust has been knocked off. First player with 3 straight multiple sack games in Chiefs Broncos rivalry. The 3 sacks, the forced fumble there. Of course, it's since 1982 because that's the time the sack became an official stat. Doesn't matter official, unofficial. This guy is having a whale of a first half.
I'm sure somebody over there is going, yeah, you've got fresh legs. Believe me, nobody is going to love you forever on the bench.
So after the safety, Broncos with the free kick, and Riley Dixon, the punter, will do it. He kicks it 65 yards, and Tyreek Hill will get room to run. And look out for Hill in the open field. He's got an angle. Hill's going to take this all the way. Defense, special teams, Kansas City with a big stretch to take the lead.
It was just a matter of time. He was so close on 2 others, and you just have to wonder why anybody kicks the football to this guy, because once he gets in the open field, it is just over. These guys are fairly well positioned, but you just can't practice for 4.25 speed. He has already had 2 touchdowns called back this year. And he's one of the leading punt returners despite that. It has just been almost every single game that I've watched that either Tyreek Hill is scoring a touchdown or coming very, very close to it. What an amazing player he's been.
An 86-yard return of the free kick by Hill, and Cairo Santos on for the extra point. And in a dozen seconds, it goes from scoreless to 9-0 Kansas City.
With your offense never coming on the field.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, which may be the better news.
Very good.
Let's go back to what started it all, Justin Houston's sack. Now watch this. You're going to see him go into the tackle, Russell Okung right here, to set up this stunt. But as he does, he gets to the inside edge, which allows him a straight path to the quarterback. That's called a pick tough. My man Howie Long taught me that back in the day when I was sitting around the studios with him. But that is how you end up, once you get to that inside edge and get that shoulder, there's nothing that tackle can do, because once you angle out, and then that ball really was on the ground for a little while. Okun was on it, then it squirted free as the 2 defenders knocked him off.
And Chris, on this return, Riley Dixon, you want to kick it numbers and to the sideline, and he did. And so they kind of set it up that way, but you talked about Hill. It's just one guy who gets it a wrong angle, and he's gone. He got no shot at catching up with him.
I mean, what's really amazing is that Kansas City's offense has done next to nothing. Can we say that?
No doubt.
You know,
and 4 first downs.
Yeah, next to nothing, and they're leading 9-0.
So Cairo Santos will kick this one off and kick it all the way out of the back of the end zone. 9-0 here, and here's Michelle.
Well, Mike, Tyreek Hill was a controversial pick for the Chiefs because in 2015, he pleaded guilty to domestic abuse of his pregnant girlfriend while at Oklahoma State. Now, Chiefs GM John Dorsey said after the pick, quote, "We've done our due diligence to fully vetting our draft class. We would never put anybody in this community in harm's way." Hill received a deferred 3-year sentence, Mike.
Yeah, Dorsey made those comments, Michelle. Usually waits until after the entire draft. Monday they have a press conference, but he knew there was immediate reaction in a negative way in that community, and he wanted to come out and address those issues and concerns. Devontae Booker with the carry for about 4 yards. You know firsthand the Chiefs, more than any team, had the experience of domestic violence right in the parking lot of Arrowhead. Remember Javon Belcher, the linebacker in September of 2012, shot and killed his girlfriend before committing suicide. So this is something that's been around this franchise, and there's a sensitivity around the league, but certainly there. Whether it was right or not, that's their call, their decision, but they knew they had to address it going forward.
I'm sure it was tough for the family of Cassandra Perkins. And as an organization, they obviously put him through every program that you can possibly imagine, and he's still ongoing. And, you know, it always gets into those fine lines of second chances versus maybe you don't deserve a second chance sometimes, but they took a chance. Andy Reid said I was impressed with him. I felt like that he was truly sorry, and we gave him a chance.
See the medical staff looking at Houston. 2 runs by Booker, sets up 3rd and 1. Toss to the left, they get on the edge and they get the first down. At the 40-yard line, did the ball come out? Booker was holding that ball, and they're going to say it down. Carl Johnson, who used to be the vice president of officiating for the league, is that one full-time official the league has. He's back on the field as a line judge in the last 4 years. He was right there and said it was down by contact at first down.
That ball is out, and because he fell back over the leg, I don't think a knee or anything ever went down. Do you see a clear recovery, though? That would be the question.
Andy Reid staying right by the official, reaching towards that flag, does not throw it. They don't challenge. And Siemian leads it to Sanders, who got leveled.
That's like
Derek. There it is. There it is. So it's going to be a gain of 29, 14 on the play and 15 on the hit from Berry, presumably.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, hit on a defenseless player, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
And as that happens, Justin Houston heads to the locker room for the Chiefs.
Boy, anytime as a receiver you're getting held up by one guy and taking a shot to the other, you could see Eric Berry, I don't think it was helmet-to-helmet contact, gave him the old wagging finger there. No, definitely helmet to helmet. That's exactly what it was. Wow.
So 29 with the penalty. With Houston out, Frank Zombo is the other edge rusher with Tamba Hali. Momentum here for the Denver offense. Siemian hit as he throws. Sanders has it again, and he will gain 8 yards on that one.
It's amazing how the game has changed now that Justin Houston is out. They at least have time, and that's the thing about the Kansas City secondary. They're going to play man coverage. They're going to take a lot of chances. You think, boy, we can get some double moves on these guys. They try and jump routes. Marcus Peters does. Problem is you don't have time to do all that stuff.
There is Zombo, the former Green Bay Packer, his 4th year with Kansas City. Capri Bibbs gets it to the 20-yard line on the carry. It's right at the first down mark. And they'll move the chains here with 3:16 before halftime.
It's been pretty impressive, really, what Kansas City's been able to do without some of their key guys in here. Justin March Lillard, Allen Bailey, Jay Howard, D Ford. None of those guys that were effectively their starters on this defense are out there playing in this game tonight. And yet we see Bob Sutton time after time come out and put on a great show on the defensive side.
Benny Fowler and Virgil Green at the top, and Green, the tight end, comes into this tight slot. Siemian on the boot, being pursued by Chris Jones, got away. Good job to find Demarius Thomas. Very close to another first down, just shy of that first down at the 10.
Trevor Siemian's best play of the night right there, because Chris Jones was all over him. Chris Jones did not go for that fake down the line of scrimmage, and he just simply was outrun by Siemian. Ordinarily don't throw back across your body, but when it works, looks good. And I tell you, for Demarius Thomas, he had a fantastic game against the Saints 2 weeks ago. A couple of one-handed catches, and you get the feeling really over the past 2 or 3 weeks that he's really starting to find his rhythm.
They targeted him 11 times. These guys had Peyton Manning throwing him the ball and trying to find a rhythm with a young quarterback. 2-minute warning. Best possession of the Broncos night ongoing. Coming up on the Toyota halftime, what a performance by Derek Carr, outdueling Cam Newton. Raiders atop this division. The Bucs defense stymies the Seahawks. And Bob Costas will be here to look ahead to the Cowboys-Vikings game on Thursday night. All coming up, Toyota halftime. Just outside the 10, 2nd and 1 for Trevor Siemian, and the play killed with the flag.
False start. Number 83 offense. 5-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
It's on the tight end, A.J. Derby. Here's Michelle.
Well, we saw Justin Houston go back to the locker room. He has just come out back onto the sidelines, probable with a shoulder injury, but add Dontari Poe to the list of injuries. On the list all week on the injury report with a back injury. He is questionable, not in there at this time, guys.
Okay, Michelle, remember, go back to that back surgery that he had in 2015. There was a concern with Poe. Penalty makes it 2nd and 6. And Siemian tries the middle towards Sanders, and it's incomplete.
Better be careful with this team.
Phillip Gaines over there, especially this part of the field, right?
In the red zone, 7 turnovers for the Kansas City Chiefs, and this is the ultimate sort of bend but don't break defense. And there they are again. It's just uncanny how many times this season, you know, you think, oh boy, they're just running over this defense and they're marching up and down between the 20s, and then they get down in that red zone and they make a play.
It's 3rd and 6. Gary Kubiak's team kept off the board in field goal range. We'd love to get a touchdown, get a little bit of momentum going to halftime. Siemian has time, it's deflected, and it's incomplete. See Barry put his hands up on his head. Defensive front, you know, those hands up there. Kendall Reyes, who had the sack earlier, might have been the one to get a hand on it there.
Or a helmet. I couldn't tell if this one bounced off. It sure did. Kendall Reyes just gave a header that kept it out of the goal.
Brandon McManus will come on for the field goal. 33 yards. Remember, the snapper changed this week. So Thomas Gafford snaps his first in-game field goal. And Riley Dixon did a nice job of getting it down.
Man, that was McManus. Pretty good patience there, too.
Good hands for the holder from Syracuse to set up McManus. 9-3, Kansas City. Sunday Night Football is brought to you by the 2017 Kia Sorento. Learn more at kia.com. By Samsung Pay, turn your phone into your wallet. By Subway, try the Reuben stacked with corned beef. Limited time only. And by Bud Light, make the right call. Drink responsibly. Tip of the cap to the Broncos, the Chiefs, the organizations, the players contributing and combining to distribute over 4,000 turkeys this past week, including Justin Houston you saw there, and you see him back on the sideline. 3 sacks, caused that safety. He personally delivered Thanksgiving dinners to families in need in Kansas City. Kick all the way through, touchback. Kansas City will take over at the 25. They get the ball to start the second half as well. Chris, we saw what the Raiders did with Derek Carr. You're going to see those highlights again at halftime. That only adds to the import of what's going to happen the rest of this half and the second half.
No question about it. I know it's been a bit of a defensive slugfest out here, but that's what these two teams are about. And you think, oh boy, are either one of them good enough to go to the Super Bowl? Well, the Denver Broncos won the Super Bowl with this exact formula a season ago. So you wonder here, will Kansas City even take much of a chance or be perfectly happy trying to go into the half with a lead?
They won the toss and deferred. See, Denver's defense has a big play in them. Drive start for Alex Smith from the 25. Look out, got to hold on to the ball all the way down to the ground as Von Miller came screaming around the edge for the sack.
Watch the way he works his hands coming around. So much for the shutout for Mitchell Schwartz. It's amazing how low that guy gets. Who was it gave us the description that Von Miller could run full speed under a table? I think that's about right. As he turns that corner, these big tackles just don't have much of an opportunity to stop him.
It was Matthew Stafford last year when you guys had Denver playing Detroit.
Right.
Miller with the sack. That's 10.5 sacks on the season. And for the moment, he has the league lead. 2nd and 15. Charkandrick West with the run there with 2 timeouts. Denver will slam one here with 61 seconds till halftime. Chris said it so well. Kansas City took a 9-0 lead. Their offense never touched the field. Safety and then the return of the free kick by 86 yards by Tyreek Hill. The offense has been 4 possessions, 4 punts. The Denver offense field goal drive was the first time an offense led a scoring drive in this game tonight. 3rd and 13. Smith stepped up into pressure, stepped up into the arms of Miller. He gets 2 sacks on this drive. Timeout, Denver. They'll get the ball back without timeouts. So the Denver defense does the job. We'll get the ball back to the offense without timeouts. Remember, Jordan Norwood muffed the last punt. Gave Denver poor field position, led to the safety. He's back for this Dustin Cole quick kick. Turns it over in the altitude, 54 yards from the 28. Here comes Norwood. Turns to the 37-yard line. The long snapper James Winchester and DJ Alexander, the linebacker, both down there.
When is it a bad idea to chip with a tight end when you've got Von Miller? Come out with Demetrius Harris, you're going to give a little chip, and then Miller goes right down Broadway to get Alex Smith. And that's just 1 sack. Here's the other one going right around and turning the corner like some kind of a speed skater or something to get the first of those 2 sacks. Then shuffled his shoulders a little bit.
Man, you said it right at the top. Who are the stars in this game? The defensive stars. Well, Houston's given us 3 sacks to the safety. Miller 2 there. No timeouts. 44 seconds left for Siemian. The throw incomplete. Tried to get it to Demaryius Thomas, who took the big hit at the back end of the play. Berry has just been laying people out. There's 3 big hits with Eric Berry here tonight.
You know, and this is really an opportunity for Trevor Siemian. There's Justin Houston. I'm sure Trevor Siemian knows all about that as well. But, you know, Sanders and Thomas have had exactly 1 100-yard game each this year, and that is certainly something they're not used to seeing out of this offense.
7 catches in this first half for that combo. Tried to check down, nothing doing there. Derek Johnson was waiting for Devontae Booker. 34 seconds left.
I'm going to tell you what, this is a violent game here tonight. We have seen some unbelievable hits. It's almost like these 2 defenses are playing against each other. You can just see the pride on each side of the ball, and it's which offense is going to blink. Of course, the Kansas City defense and special teams came up with 9 points, and they are just determined to win the game by themselves. I could just hear them on the sideline going, guys, forget about it. We've got 9 points. We don't need any help from our offense. Let's win it from here.
3rd and 10. Siemian's got a lane to throw, lasers it in there. It's caught by A.J. Derby, the tight end who was with the Patriots. Got traded here. He's a yard short of the first down. This is one of those. Andy Reid's going to take a timeout with 22 seconds left before 4th and 2. See if he'll force Kubiak to punt the ball. NFL fans, you can order your holiday gifts from NFLshop.com. Do it today. Get up to 25% off at the official store of the NFL, NFLshop.com.
Now, what are the odds that you're thinking that they're going to punt this ball to Tyreek Hill?
I think they've learned their lesson, don't you?
I think below 0. Is there such a thing? Can you have odds below 0?
I'm not the odds guy. You're asking the wrong guy. Wrong partner up here.
I'll call Al at halftime. Oh,
he'll have that electrifying one earlier. So let me ask you what people are saying at home. Is it bad offense, or are these defenses really this good?
Oh, it's unbelievable defense. I mean, you couldn't watch this Denver defense a year ago and watch this and go, this isn't just unbelievable. And what the Kansas City Chiefs have done so far, arguably even better.
Riley Dixon set to kick it away. Hill says get away. It's a tumbler toward the sideline. Don't let him get his hands on it. You would think with 13 seconds left and getting the ball to start the second half, Kansas City will just take a knee and take this to the locker room.
Yeah, you think, do I want Tyreek Hill to have it or the Kansas City offense? I'll give it the Kansas City offense.
Well, you're up 6 and you have 50 yards of total offense.
You don't see those stats very often.
And the one big play was the 86-yarder that Hill took back off the free kick. Denver's one drive coming when Justin Houston was out of the game. And so this one forecast as expected.
That was all about Tyreek Hill and not the offense. That timeout.
Absolutely. Just in case you want to make a mistake, we'll gladly help you out. At the break here in Denver, Kansas City with the lead, and the defending Super Bowl champs have to come back in the second half, or they fall 2 games behind the AFC West lead with 5 to go. Toyota Halftime is coming up, but first, these messages from your local NBC station.
Tonight's first half highlights are brought to you by Chevrolet.
Stand up and cheer, stomp your feet, stop clapping. NBC Sunday night about to happen.
Justin Houston, he could end up having a big night tonight.
He is wrecking the Broncos in this first half. Ball is out, and it will be a safety fitting in this game that Houston and the defense score first. Hill's going to take this all the way.
Once he gets in the open field, it is just over.
Chevrolet, the most awarded car company 2 years in a row.
Back in the altitude and the beauty of the home of the Super Bowl champion Broncos. Back in Denver, Kansas City leads 9-3. Justin Houston, you saw his work there as we started this second half. 3 sacks, the forced fumble leading to that safety. They only credited Von Miller with half a sack on the second one he got on that last drive. So he has a sack and a half. 11 leads the league. And when Hill took that back 86 yards on the return of the free kick, it's the first time a team has scored on that free kick after a safety since the Texans did it 7 years ago. Kansas City Chiefs scored 9 points in the second quarter. They had no first downs. They have 4 for the game, but they have the lead. And as Chris said right at the beginning, this is a game about defense and a game about knowing who you are. McManus to kick to start this second half. Brandon kicked it. DeAnthony Thomas watches it go over his head.
Well, these game wreckers on the outside have been doing exactly that. First, Justin Houston just making his way right through Ty Sembrilo, make the switch, and then, of course, he's ended up at least partially responsible for it all. So Von Miller said, if you've got that, I've got this. Coming around the edge there, and then coming right down Broadway there. I guess they may have given Derek Wolfe half of that, but that was mostly Von Miller there.
So Kansas City will start from its own 25. Their back is Spencer Ware. And he'll go for 2 yards with a flag down. Ware, 8 runs, 29 yards. His longest carry was 7. The longest run in the game has been a 10-yard run by Denver's Devontae Booker. Pete Morelli tells you we're going that away.
Illegal shift, offense. 5-yard penalty remains, first down.
To the sideline, Michelle Tafoya.
Well, the Chiefs just 49 yards of offense in the first half. I asked Andy Reid about that, and he said we've got to stay out of 3rd and long, and we got to just keep swinging. As for Gary Kubiak, he said they've tried everything in the book to block Justin Houston, but he said we got to do better, but there's a fine line between using guys to help protect and letting those same guys go make plays.
43-degree night down there. Wind has picked up a little bit. It's back at 10 miles per hour. Hill gets it from Smith. Tyreek Hill, good read there, and he got hit hard by Von Miller. Can't catch him, send Miller after him. Not on my watch.
Yeah, that's not Von Miller 1 or 2. This is Von Miller 3. He's the one responsible for the flat out here. You only got one of the greatest athletes in the world who makes a one-on-one tackle with no problem. Just, you know, whatever. I would pay him a lot of money. And I guess they did.
They did.
You know?
I think they did.
Highest paid defensive player in the league, and you can see why.
Super Bowl MVP, 2nd and 14. Smith thinks about it twice and is taken down on the run by Jared Crick, who's had an active game. A couple of yards for Alex Smith. Chris, last year, this was so much of Kansas City's game. Smith was 4th in the league among quarterbacks in rushing yards. Not so much this year.
Yeah, you know, he had the concussion, and or whatever it was they ended up describing it as. And you just wonder if it's in his head a little bit. We talked to him about that, and the fact that he said, when I run from now on, I'm not sliding. He got his head banged on the turf 2 times in that ball game, and he said, from now on, all head first slides for me.
I'm going to be a football player. Look at that impact. Only 6 yards a game. It was a couple of first downs a game he would get last year in those third down scrambles. Play clock running down, 3rd and 11. This one's going nowhere. Intended for Demetrius Harris. Denver had everything on lockdown, and it's a 3 and out to open the half for Kansas City.
I mean, they are sitting there at 3rd and 11, and the defenders for the Denver Broncos are sitting down at about 7 yards. They don't think they're going to throw any pass any farther down the field than that because of the way their defense is playing right now. I mean, even those passes on 3rd down really aren't intended to try and get first down, so you might as well run it.
Dustin Colquitt kicks again to Jordan Norwood. I said that a lot tonight. Tough to catch. 42-yarder. Norwood got it and got plastered. That's the 3rd special teams hit for DJ Alexander on this night. Denver will take over at the 37, down 6. Well, all these guys involved in it, you know the story from the offseason. Peyton Manning retires. Osweiler goes to Houston, so John Elway has to make the decision with Gary Kubiak. Where do they go with quarterback? Is it Mark Sanchez? No. They end up with Trevor Siemian, and now Siemian's got the opportunity of a lifetime. He's sitting on 6 weeks here, 5.5 games as he hands to Booker for this first down carry of 3 yards. What a chance, Chris. You can ride a great defense if the rest of the offense comes along to the playoffs and make a playoff run with this opportunity in your career, if everybody can get going. Injured Chief is Derek Johnson.
Well, I don't know. If I were Trevor Siemian and I heard the guys saying, you know, this is a great opportunity for you, that we're all cheering for you, that we have important 6 games in the playoffs to see about your career, I'd be like, wait a minute now. I'm 7-2 as a starter here. Does that not count for anything? And yet we know that John Elway is not shy about pulling the trigger. He had Tim Tebow playoff game that he won, and he came back with Peyton Manning the next year and said, that wasn't enough for me. So John Elway is playing for one thing and one thing only, and that's a world championship. And if he thinks Trevor Siemian can get it done, he'll be the guy. If he doesn't, John will not be shy about pulling the trigger on that one.
Derek Johnson helped to the sideline. DJ Alexander has been big on special teams. In his place, good cutback run by Booker. Best looking run of the night either way. First down for the Broncos onto the Chiefs side of the field.
Well, there we are again, going right up behind Matt Paradis, the center. So many times, so many of their yards go right in the A-gap, right on either side of the center, and here we go again. Once your center can control that nose, you have a chance.
And we mentioned 57. Alexander was in the game for Johnson. Gotten held by the fullback Janovich, but he couldn't make the play. The 47, first down throw for Siemian. It's Houston again. Ladies and gentlemen, the defensive player of the week, that man.
Well, he's on tackle number 2 at this point in the game now. Donald Stevenson is going to get this inside move here. My guys from Pro Football Focus just text me, this guy got a 5.5 grade in the first half. There are guys that don't get that grade in 3 years of their career.
That's like off the charts, right?
It's ridiculous.
Well, so is he.
49's a backer, 49's a backer.
Well, we're about 49, we're about 50.
49, Daniel Sorensen, the linebacker. Booker threw one arm tackle, and then he's finally stopped. Tamba Hali is over there. Guy's been to the Pro Bowl 5 times and really was very instrumental in Houston's development when he came in. Hali's been in the league 11 years now.
Yeah, and they've really been kind of taking it easy on Tamba Hali this year. And I think, you know, you just keep seeing that if this strategy could work, you know, D4 comes back from that hamstring injury. Justin Houston continues to play like this. And Tamba Hali is fresh for the end of the season in the playoffs. This could be an unbelievably dynamic pass rushing force on this defensive team.
It's one of those important plays. Your field position is decent. It's 35. Here come the Chiefs. Picked up Siemian by Bryce Thomas for the first down, just inside the 20-yard line with Kenneth Acker there in coverage.
This time Justin Houston right over the center, going to try and come right there, and they're going to bring Ron Parker, I believe it was, right there. So it left one-on-one coverage on the outside. And if you want to know why teams do not want to bring that much pressure, is because these two receivers on the outside are simply too good. And remember that Steven Nelson is not in the game. He's their ordinary nickel guy, so that put Acker in that situation.
24, Siemian threw it the only place he could. Perfectly thrown ball there.
Goodness gracious.
No gain for Capri Bibbs.
Goodness gracious.
Do we even need to say who it is?
Hey, if this were chess, you just take your king and lay it over. It's like, I concede, I'm done. I've had enough of this thing. Virgil Green takes his shot. Watch him try and come out. And there's Justin Houston again, just going through the fullback and the tight end, and doo-dah. What a night. I think he's feeling pretty good.
Yeah, so much for the rust. Off that ACL and LCL surgery on the knee that Michelle told you about in the first half. And this time it's DJ Alexander on the other side of the line of scrimmage. The second-year man out of Oregon State with the big hit on Bibbs.
This time you're going to see the center, Matt Paradis, almost get surprised, going to help here and try to get there, but it was too late. You got DJ Alexander just going to shoot that gap before Paradis could get back. Bibbs has taken some shots tonight. There have been some huge hits in this game, and we've had a penalty or two, but for the most part, they're all legal shots. This has just been an amazing defensive game.
Old school. Feels old school, doesn't
it? Like the Bears and the Packers or something, in the snow.
And this was the division where they always put it up in the air and put up a bunch of points. Timeout Denver. Next weekend, Premier League on NBC and NBCSN. 3 of the top 4 teams in the table. Chelsea and Man City, they're first and third, and Arsenal's fourth. Arsenal will take on West Ham, those London rivals at it. You'll see it on NBC and NBCSN. Look at Barmer Street in Lodo, lower downtown Denver. 3rd and 13 here for the Broncos. Rushing 4, Siemian throws. The crosser is A.J. Derby, and the tight end, just like he was in the second quarter, is about 1.5 yards shy of the first down. Ron Parker made the tackle. You would think take the point since the game is so close. But, the rumbling of the crowd tells you there's no kicker coming out. And for the moment, Kubiak's crew going to go for it.
Yeah, it's just so hard to get down here. Your quarterback just makes a big play. Derby makes a big play to get it close. And now you're thinking, who do I overwhelm on this defensive line? And I'm sure not running it to the right. I'm running left if I'm running anywhere.
Derek Johnson back on the field. Siemian tries to keep it and get there. He gets tagged at the end of the play by Berry. Let's see where the forward progress will be marked.
And then it was late that Siemian came popping out there. That Marcus Peters down there eyeballing it. Did he get it there? I think that's the ultimate forward progress, because after that his knee would hit the ground. So let's see in our own minds if we can mark this thing. Looks like just short.
Does he ever get to that 8-yard line? They give him a first down. They do mark the ball at the front end of the 8-yard line. I think you've heard plenty of conversation about marking the ball this weekend if you watch the Ohio State-Michigan game. And where do you get a spot? It's such an inexact science.
But it was pretty clear there that you could see that 8-yard line. I personally didn't think he got to that 8-yard line.
And again, it has to be so clear that he was shy of it for replay to turn it over. Andy Reid, no flag in hand, no challenge. They pick up the 4th and 1 on the keeper by Siemian, and Devontae Booker gets 2. Probably mark him to the 6.
So here we go. Here's the 8-yard line right here. Let's see if he gets there. Remember the ball, not his helmet, not anything else. Does the ball get there?
I don't think so.
I didn't think it did either.
And that is not directly down the line, but it's pretty close to down the line. You see where the ball was, almost just under his left shoulder, which had gotten turned the other way. Second and goal. Siemian fires. What a good play by Phillip Gaines.
Again.
Same thing with that slant route, right?
Absolutely. Here he is back underneath. Here we go. Just goes right underneath the route. And that is multiple times. Good throw by Siemian, just a better play defensively. And I tell you, Gaines is not far away from reaching over there with two hands and grabbing one. He was in that position. Remember this defense, 7 turnovers down here in the red zone. Be careful.
Here's intended for Jordan Taylor. Third and goal. Chased by Houston. Retraces his steps. Siemian's got room. Will he run it or throw it? Gonna throw it. End zone. Taylor. Touchdown. Jordan Taylor.
Me now, says Trevor Siemian. Justin Houston had a beat on him. He doubles back across the way, and then it's Jordan Taylor. Look at that move in the back of the end zone. He faked like he was going to the back edge, and then came back both feet down, clean catch. And Trevor Siemian with a trademark play for his early career. Houston thought he had him, maybe a little tug there at the end of that thing by Stevenson, got away with it.
McManus, big extra point. It's not through, and Denver takes the lead. Jordan Taylor is the receiver that Peyton Manning gave the nickname Sunshine from Remember the Titans because of the long hair. He was helping Peyton in the rehab process last year. This year he's helping the Broncos. He's giving them a 1-point lead. I hope you can watch a very special episode. It's TV's #1 news show, now nominated for 3 People's Choice Awards, including Best Drama. If you haven't seen This Is Us, you need to check it out. Tuesday, 9 Eastern and Pacific, 8 Central, right here on NBC.
I'll be studying Dallas and Minnesota at that time.
You can binge watch that show and you will love it.
All right.
When you get a chance to catch your breath. Touchback here. What a play this was on both ends.
I'd like to binge watch this one for a little while. Watch Trevor Siemian escape here, and let's give a little credit to Donald Stevenson for staying with Justin Houston over there, but then it was Sunshine coming out of that late break. Almost 10 seconds that play took. Didn't quite approach the Donovan McNabb play in Dallas of over 14 seconds, but look at that little move, and that was the key thing. Gave him just enough space on the outside to come back and make that play. He got his first touchdown of his career in New Orleans, comes right back with a huge one here.
Chiefs take over at their own 25. It's Spencer Ware with the run. And that's about 4 yards. So we were talking about Taylor and Sunshine from Remember the Titans. It's such a cool story. He was working like triple days where his own practice, staying late, but he was getting there early as Peyton Manning was rehabbing from the foot injury. And Peyton would tell you he grabbed Jeff Hireman, who was a tight end who was on injured reserve with a foot injury. Taylor, who wasn't seeing much action. Guy from the equipment staff. Anybody so he can go through those workouts trying to get ready, and he did. Remember, Manning bought the suit for Taylor going to the Super Bowl, and Jordan got his own suit. But one of the reasons he's on this roster is because of Gary Kubiak's son, Klein Kubiak, who was with him in college, and said, Dad, we got to keep an eye on this guy. Klein's part of this football operations staff, and they got Taylor, and he's giving them plenty. Kelsey, the tight end for the Chiefs, across the 40. Hard hit at the 45, but a first down and a pickup of 15.
Every play ends with a big hit, and here comes Kelsey across the formation, and for once nobody ends up picking him up. You'll see him come all the way across the formation, and that match zone just got fouled up a little bit. Then there's the newest millionaire right there. Darian Stewart came up with a new contract. You see why. He had 3 turnovers in the game against the Saints in New Orleans. Was spectacular in that game.
First down since the first quarter for Kansas City. 6:15 now in the third as Ware carries him 2 yards.
You know, I tell you who else has been big in this game so far in his return is Derek Wolfe. You know, that was the one defensive element, that inside pressure, the Malik Jackson kind of role, the guy that gets some push up the middle, so those outside pass rushers, but also against the run. They're rotating him in more and more in this game. You see the big elbow brace on him, sort of looking like J.J. Watt over there. But he's had a nice game so far.
The 49, Alex Smith for Kelsey, who was followed by Todd Davis, the inside linebacker, to be third down coming up.
Yeah, and for Todd Davis, sort of taking over for Danny Trevathan in that role. We talked so much about Von Miller and his ability to rush. Well, check out what else he can do. He just drops back in coverage. You remember in the Super Bowl, that was maybe one of the biggest plays of the game. Him in coverage down the boundary and knocked that one away.
The problem for the Chiefs, third down, has been a problem again tonight.
Bet you Von Miller's not in coverage this time. Oh boy, TJ Ward is blitzing.
He nosing around. Here he comes. The back picked him up, and Kelsey's got the first down. Terrific play all the way around. Will Parks, the safety, the rookie, had to make the tackle.
It's a great job that time by Alex Smith, forcing Denver to show this blitz. They started moving. He knew exactly the offensive line could figure it out. They pick it up, and then they get their main man, Travis Kelce, out there on the rookie Parks. And Will Parks should not feel badly about that. I haven't seen anybody. Look at that move by Travis Kelce. Just electric from the tight end position.
There's 8 completions on the night for Smith, 3 of them to Kelce. Nothing downfield. The 43, good pocket that time, and a good catch by Ware to keep his balance and get to the 25. An 18-yard first down gain.
That was an amazing move. At the tail end of that thing, looked like he was going down. TJ Ward, who's one of the best tacklers in the league, just had a direct beat on him, and somehow Ware was able to do that and let that bullet fly by him.
It's almost like that hand he was using to not go to the ground gave him a chance to pivot in the other direction.
Yeah, we've seen everything else tonight. Why not?
You said it before, he's a former quarterback in his high school days. Great athlete. He is running again for about 5 inside the red zone as we take it under 4 minutes. Third quarter, Denver 10, Kansas City 9. Two very similar teams playing their type of football here.
Here's that inside zone play now, and watch Mitch Morse, the center here, make the block. This is so key because this play is going to fold back behind, and then you just sort of move that guy out of there, Billy Wynn. Mitch Morse, a very quick guy, very athletic inside as well.
Niles Davis now the running back. Out of the pistol, the quick throw to Hill, trying to get the speedster on the edge. Chris Harris, not going to let you get there. Keep Talib, going to make sure that his partner has help.
I tell you, Chris Harris is just simply one of the best football players in this league. He's a little guy. Everybody goes, yeah, big deal. He was a slot corner. Nobody paid much attention to him. And then he got about a $50 million contract. Slot cornerbacks, slot receivers, people that can make plays like that, they're difference makers in this league.
3rd and 6, place going nuts. Smith 5 in the pattern. Underneath. Can Thomas get there? No, Talib. Terrific pursuit. A couple yards shy of the first down. Kansas City will attempt a go-ahead field goal.
Here we go. Let's watch this right here. DeMarcus Ware on the outside. Look at that. Oh, my goodness. I mean, Alex Smith, we talk about him getting the ball out of his hands quickly. He has to. And then it was Talib first, and then Bradley Roby with the cleanup hit.
It's going to be a 35-yarder for Cairo Santos, third-year kicker out of Tulane. Believed to be the first Brazilian-born player in the league. He was born in Sao Paulo. Perfect execution all the way around by the snapper Winchester, the holder Colquitt. And Kansas City takes a 12-10 lead. So the field goal was kicked, and then after we went to break, a flag was thrown, and Gary Kubiak's getting the explanation from Pete Morelli. Illegal formation on the Broncos, because in 2013 they put in a rule. You can only have 6 guys on one side of the formation for player safety, can't overload. Denver has 7, so the kick went through, but the official in the back was counting the players on that side of the snapper. said there were 7 after they had a consultation. You saw the 2 officials going to talk to each other there.
Play clock did not run out during that play. Again, illegal formation defense. Had 7 men on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Result of the penalty is a first down.
Because it was 4th and 2 at the 17-yard line. So obviously Kansas City takes the points off the board. So instead of being 12-10 Chiefs, it's Kansas City 1st and 10 at the Denver 12-yard line.
And I think what Kubiak was saying was that the play clock expired, so it should have been a 5-yard penalty on them and then let them re-kick it.
Alex Smith hops out. Spencer Ware going to take a wildcat snap here. Remember, he's a former quarterback. He's going to keep it here and run inside. Good push from the O-line to get down to the 7-yard line on first down.
Yeah, and this wildcat formation has become some of their red zone and short yardage formation of choice because you have a guy that has experience running that read option play.
As reported,
and
as eligible. 75 is eligible.
And also your running back obviously running straight through the hole where he probably would have anyway. So now they bring in Ja Reed, the extra offensive lineman, to try and just overpower Denver at this point.
Best looking drive of the night for the Chiefs. Again, it is Ware. He's going to run to that side and just gain a couple of yards. It'll be 3rd down coming up. We have a chance to tell you Sunday Night Football is brought to you by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. By Sprint. Visit sprint.com. By Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. And by Amazon Echo, information, music, news, and more. Just ask. You ask for snow mass nearby Aspen, Colorado, delivered. Got some today. 'Tis the season. In the Rockies, Derek Wolfe, who we mentioned had that elbow injury that he came back from, being walked off by the athletic training staff. Chris, I just want to go back to that penalty, and you wonder why did they make that rule change for player safety 3 years ago? Simply put, the defensive teams were rushing through the gaps created by the overload. When they looked at tape, they said too many injuries caused by that formation. Here go the Chiefs back for the 2nd time in this drive with the Wildcat with Ware, who gives to Tyreek Hill. Speed on the edge. What a block he got from Wilson to score the touchdown. Albert Wilson, the big block, frees Tyreek Hill for his 2nd touchdown, and the penalty ends up allowing the Chiefs to score a TD.
Boy, I tell you, it takes some nerve to run wide on that one. And essentially, I think that's Von Miller unblocked. This play is going to leave Von Miller unblocked. They're going to read him. They thought Von Miller was going to come down, and it was Tyreek Hill able to get on the edge. Great blocks on the outside there by Wilson and by Travis Kelce. Boy, how many times do you design a play that you leave Von Miller unblocked? And it worked.
It's that whole zone read concept. You're often leaving the best rusher free. It doesn't fit with anything except when it works.
If you can't block him, don't, I guess.
Tell your quarterback that, right? Hill, 2 touchdowns. Kansas City back on top. 16-10, a good one here in the Rockies tonight. Tonight's aerial coverage is brought to you by Geico. Turning into a good one here in Denver. Mike Tirico in for Al Michaels with Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya, half-minute left in the 3rd, and the Chiefs respond to the Denver touchdown with one of their own. 16-10 Kansas City. Santos good hang time and depth. No return for Capri, Bibbs, and the Broncos.
Well, we've been talking about these big hits all night long, and here we go. We'll start off with Von Miller early on with that one. Eric Berry's had a few legal and illegal. And Derek Johnson comes up with that one. DJ Alexander and Darian Stewart here at the end. But it has been like this all night long. I've been getting messages from some of my defensive friends around the league, a little fired up, watching some defensive football out here. Warren Sapp, he's loving it.
Kick. 180. What's that?
Now Siemian back to work with 30 seconds left for first down play action. With a high throw intended for Emmanuel Sanders, who was open, but Siemian couldn't find the target. Oh, there you see Clark Hunt back there, the Chiefs family The Hunt family's owned the Chiefs for 57 years. You go back in the Hallises and the Bidwells and the Rooneys, and of course Clark Hunt over the year. His dad's so influential. Lamar Hunt in the start of the AFL, which is the roots of the AFC West and all these teams.
Papa was a good guy, and so is his son.
Ditto. 5 caught by Thomas. He'll gain 7, and that should spin us down to the end of the third quarter. They'll make it 6, so it'll be 3rd and 4 on the other side.
Take a deep breath here, man. This is going to be fun.
And the stakes are high.
Yes, they are.
Because if you don't win, you're 2 back in the West with 5 to go. After 3, Kansas City 16, Denver 10. Sunday Night Football continues after these messages. Who'd have thunk it story? Oakland's right there behind at 9-2. We were there a few weeks ago to watch the game against Denver. That place is alive. Raider passion is back. And one of those great performances by Derek Carr. The pinky injury comes back. They end up beating Carolina, so they are 9-2. If somebody wins, if we don't end up in a tie, the winner here will be 1 back, the loser 2 back. And you saw those division records. Keep in mind, Oakland has to go play the last 3 division games on the road here down the stretch, so there is hope. Ali with the pressure. Siemian steps up. In the middle, Jordan Norwood couldn't bring it in. Incomplete. And it'll set up 4th down.
That's some play on the outside by Kenneth Acker, who's been filling in here tonight. They got 1 against them, but when you come up with one like that on 3rd down, straight man-to-man coverage, it's what it's all about. Just next man up. Here he is, 27 Acker. That's a good move right there by Jordan Norwood, but Acker was all over it.
Riley Dixon kicks. Can you keep it away from Hill? Good job pushing it towards the sideline. Gets a good bounce. Going to be 55 yards and all net. And Denver's going to have it back inside their own 15-yard line. Kansas City's going to have it, I should say. This is everything we thought it would be, but this is a big pressure quarter going both ways here in the 4th.
Yeah, and the thing that's been so impressive about this so far, 0 turnovers.
Right.
So the offenses are doing their jobs as well, and their job was to come out here, not lose the game. Of course, they had the sack in the end zone, the whole thing out there, and that led to 9 points out of it. But for the most part, Alex Smith, and I know everybody wants him to throw it deep, and they want him to make big plays, but he's given his defense, given his special teams a chance to win the game.
The dirty word in the quarterback industry, game manager.
Oh, they hate it.
But he's been terrific at it. It fits what they do.
I wonder if Alex Smith hates it. Probably not.
Not when the check comes. Spencer Ware with the carry in the game 4 yards. You think about Alex Smith, and he had that carousel in San Francisco. He had so many different guys, and then Jim Harbaugh came in there and really stabilized. So Harbaugh comes in 2011, and since then Alex Smith has turned it around. Look what he's done the last 5 years.
Yeah, and of course they had pretty good defense over there in San Francisco as well, and they come over here and build the same thing. And for Andy Reid, he was always a West Coast guy. He didn't always have a West Coast quarterback, so I think this is kind of the essence of who he is, and that's a big reason why they've won 17 out of 20 regular season games.
2nd and 9, the dip of the shoulder, trying to get around the edge was Miller. And the sack comes from the other side. The other terrific player, DeMarcus Ware, and Smith went down hard as Ware took him to the ground.
Nice job by Schwartz here on the outside. As Miller comes in, Schwartz going to push him by, but as Alex Smith stepped up, the old high-low, here comes DeMarcus Ware, is going to go underneath Eric Fisher there, and that's how those guys work. They actually have signals that says, all right, you go high, I'll go low, and then the next time it'll be, I'll go high, you go low, because that's what you want to do. You want to just force him to step up into the other guy.
And Steve Antonopoulos, the longtime athletic trainer for the Broncos, is looking at Ware, even though he's the one who threw Smith down so hard. 3rd and long. Alex Smith knows, do not make a mistake here. Just take it. Shane Ray will get credit for it. The guy in place of DeMarcus Ware forces the 3 and out for the Denver defense.
Here's what you're going to see, just zone defenses. Everybody in a zone, just a 3-man pass rush, and they still flush him out of the pocket. But Mike, you're exactly right. Alex Smith, the game manager we just talked about, said, listen guys, we're all right. We've got the lead. There's nothing wrong with punting the football here. We don't want to make a big mistake. He made the right play.
Justin Colquitt to Jordan Norwood. Flag down. Movement by the Chiefs.
Yeah, the Broncos had a block on. They had a play, and it made them flinch.
False start. Number 14, offense. 5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
It's the rookie receiver, DeMarcus Robinson.
You'll see both these guys on the outside. They were coming in for a block. Had another guy come up from the outside, and they had a play on, and it just made them flinch.
Yeah, you saw Benny Fowler, 16, also dove in from the left side, the bottom of your screen. Dustin Colquitt backed all the way up. Gets rid of it quick. Not the distance on this one. Norwood's got to run up, and he couldn't catch it. It's Free who's got it. The long snapper Winchester down there for Kansas City, fighting with Jordan Taylor. And now everybody's in the pile. And it's Chiefs ball. DeAnthony Thomas was down there, and Norwood, who earlier had the muff that gave the poor field position, led to the safety. This time can't catch that one, and the long snapper Winchester comes up with it.
Yeah, Norwood wanted to go without the fair catch, but because Thomas was right there in his face, and nicely played by Thomas to not get there too soon. But for Jordan Norwood, it's been a long night already, a couple of those. And we talked about it from the very beginning, right? This is a game that may end up being lost instead of won. And what a huge flip of field position there.
It's Thomas who is there on coverage. Smith on first down, gets to Ware. Spencer Ware runs to the right, only a couple of yards. Long snappers often aren't in the news.
Number 76, offense, 10-yard penalty, remains 1st down.
Penalty on Duvernay Tardif, the guard. They're often not in the news unless there's a bad snap or a mistake. And Winchester's second year out of Oklahoma, maybe you heard the story. His dad, Michael, worked at the Oklahoma City airport. Was shot and killed 2 weeks ago by a disgruntled former airport employee. He didn't practice that week. He came and snapped for the Chiefs last week against Tampa, and the special teams unit, the whole team, just couldn't believe what a great job he did. So you know how heavy his heart is as you're right around Thanksgiving and the holiday time, and a moment to feel great about his accomplishments as he's dealt with so much difficulty, and his family as well over the last couple of weeks. Penalty makes it 1st and 20. Spencer Ware got some blocking on the edge, got the penalty yardage back, and then some to the 45-yard line.
Well, for Norwood, he knows that he gave him a chance, but now's when you have to hope, and this great defense, and it is a great defense, can stand up. The hardest thing in the world is to make a stop, go to the bench, start drinking Gatorade, and go, what? And then it's like, get your helmet, you got to run back out on the field. Now can they make a stand right here in the middle of the field and get the ball back a second time?
2nd and 6, all the big people on the left over there. Niall Davis, the back. Fake it to him, try to get to Kelsey, it was covered. And hello, somebody's waiting. My name is Von Miller.
I'm telling you, this is some move on Mitchell Schwartz here. This is like one of those judo guys. It looks like it's going to be nothing, and then watch the hand movement here. Just getting those hands off. Schwartz was probably thinking it's going to be a quick screen, get out of there, go the other way. Von Miller just too quick.
Officially 2.5 sacks. Here's what they were looking for. Hit all 3 tight ends on that other side. 2 were blocking. Kelsey was waiting. Miller changed the timing of it all. Play clock is out. Timeout Andy from the sideline. Andy Reid got the timeout first, I believe.
Prior to the clock running out, timeout, Kansas City, first team timeout, 30-second time.
You know, that's an interesting timeout there. You're 3rd and 13 anyway. Your odds of converting that first down probably pretty slim. And who knows what that timeout may mean towards the end of the game. Took it, they'll take a shot, and they'll probably hit a touchdown for 62 yards.
Each team has a couple of timeouts left. We mentioned earlier, if you were with us, that there were some issues with the kickers in warm-ups because the wind was blowing and it was difficult. You mentioned when we had a wind game a few weeks ago, it's one of the toughest things for a punt returner is to catch a ball in the wind, especially the way these guys are kicking it, dropping the nose down, and Norwood's had a really tough time with a couple of kicks.
And what happened on that kick, when the nose doesn't turn over, it comes down almost like a frisbee, almost like back towards the punter, and you feel like you're never going to catch it. You just keep chasing it.
3rd and 13. Smith gets Kelsey crossing, won't go too far, pulled down by Chris Harris. His nameplate on the jersey in his hand as he pulled him down. It'll be 4th down, and Norwood's going back again.
Well, it's a stroke of confidence. He's been so good at this, so why not? I think it was Norwood in the Super Bowl that had that 60-something yarder, right? That made a big difference in the game.
Longest punt return in Super Bowl history, the 61-yarder that he had. Not many other punt return options used thus far this year by Denver. Dustin Colquitt trying to pin him deep. Norwood, fair catch.
He can breathe again now.
And if it wasn't sure, a little sarcastic cheer from the home crowd as well. Sunday Night Football is brought to you by Verizon. It's always a great gift on Verizon. By Navy Federal Credit Union, proudly serving the armed forces and their families. By Bose, get closer. And by Toyota, let's go places. Denver Botanic Gardens and Blossoms of Light. Their display, little sound, reactive LED light animations. Many ways to enjoy the holiday season. Kicking off in earnest. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Good way to wrap up the week. Good one here in Denver. Chiefs by 6. It's a carry for the rookie out of Utah, Devontae Booker. And Justin Hughes has been everywhere. Is there again. No gain.
Well, I think these two guys are pretty good players, Justin Hughes and Von Miller. I did a lot of homework this week. I think I could have just learned 2 names and been all right calling this game. It's unbelievable how they've just dominated from beginning to end on either side of the ball.
Such good defenses. You could take a lot of the AFC Pro Bowl team just from these 2 defenses.
Boy, no doubt.
You're back to AFC against NFC in the Pro Bowl this year. The 13th Siemian taking a shot downfield, and it is caught by Sanders. Inside the 30, and a flag on the back end will take them into the red zone. .64 on the pass and the catch.
What a route that was. I'm telling you, what a route that was.
Well, let's see if this flag's going to, I'm not sure which way this might go. I just assumed it was going to be on Denver on the takedown at the end here. Let's wait a minute. A couple of the Broncos players on the sideline looked unhappy with what they were hearing the call might be.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. An official collided with a member of the coaching staff. The result of the play is a 1st down. After the 15-yard penalty, it will be 1st and 10.
Again, they'll give you a sideline warning sometimes, but if you run into the bench personnel.
Here's Gary Kubiak, and here's the official. That entire area right there belongs to the official, and the minute he bumps into anybody, he may not have even known it was Gary Kubiak. That's it. Look at this route, though, by Sanders coming down. He was so close to the line of scrimmage, gave that hard inside move, and made that huge play. It was, everybody's booing here, but it was absolutely the right call by the officials. Great throw there by Siemian, and what a route by Sanders.
He was in the way, barely made contact. I'm sure the fans saw that. Devontae Booker with the carry for 3 yards. But like you said, that's one of those clear, bright line in the rule book if that happens.
Yeah, because you have to give the officials, and really, in defense of Gary Kubiak, he's sitting there all the way at the other end of the field, and here comes the ball, and he just doesn't see the official either. And usually the head coach is the one that is the farthest forward on that line, and those are often the guys that have to watch out, as Mike Tomlin will tell you as well.
That's right, from Thanksgiving night, a Baltimore-Pittsburgh game, and that kick return. It's a dominant quarter for the Broncos. Siemian going up top, flag down, Sanders! Sanders got it for the touchdown. He beat Philip Gaines twice on that drive. Let's check the flag.
Illegal contact, number 38 defense. Penalty is declined. Result of the play is a touchdown.
The last thing Emmanuel Sanders said when he left practice, show me some love in this game, will you? Well, here comes a little love. I tell you, that's the fastest I've seen two guys in two plays go all the way down the field. And there's Stevenson on the outside, who really has made a difference. It hasn't been perfect, but it's been better and just enough on that play. And for Emmanuel Sanders, how about those plays back to back?
McManus makes the extra point. Denver on top, 35 yards. Taking care of your head coach. So we're for the 15 yards. Let's take it back a little bit farther. Sanders gets a touchdown after 6 games without. And Denver back on top by 1. Dallas won on Thanksgiving. Minnesota lost in Detroit. Full week of rest. What a scene it'll be. The Cowboys have won 10 in a row. We'll have it for you Thursday Night Football on NBC, NFL Network, streamed live on Twitter. See the next 2 games of the 10-1 Cowboys right here on NBC 2 weeks from tonight against the Giants, the only team to beat them. What happened on the touchdown, Chris?
Well, you've got Eric Berry playing center field, and I think, as you'll see, Philip Gaines, when he crosses the goal line, is going to turn around and he's looking at Eric Berry, who worked his way to the opposite side of the field. But generally, when you see somebody coming all the way across the formation and your guy's in trouble, you're hoping for help. You're just never assured of getting it. That time Eric Berry worked the other way. I don't know who's hugging who there. Maybe Kubiak should be hugging him.
Well, because the 15-yard penalty, it meant those 2 long plays. He had 99 yards receiving on that drive.
It did beat Jeff Janis. Remember that in the playoffs? He had 101 on that final in the Hail Mary and the whole thing.
Green Bay, Arizona divisional playoff game. You guys had that classic last year in the desert.
Replay.
Marcus Ware offside. Smith throws it. It's caught by Hill. Don't give him space. 9-yard gain. You want 1st and 5 or 2nd and 1?
They'll probably take 2nd and 1. 5 yards is not assured.
Offside. Number 94 defense penalty is declined. 2nd down.
And I tell you what, I don't know how many different ways I could get the ball to Tyreek Hill, but I'd sure be trying. And, you know, this is a guy that's strapped together pretty good, too. We were talking to Andy Reid about him, said, you know, he could play running back. He's not a small guy, so you don't have to worry about wearing him out.
Comes around just for the fake to get the 1st down on the run with Spencer Ware to the 37-yard line. As we approach 7 minutes left, we mentioned the great night with Justin Houston, Von Miller as well. Miller was given a half sack on one we weren't sure about. They've credited him with a full sack from the one at the end of the 1st half, so he now has 3 sacks on the night.
There you go. I tell you what, though, book that one in your mind, that fake reverse, because had they handed it off, it would have been open. They had a lead blocker in front. Trust me, the guys that are sitting up in the coaching booth have that one with a little star next to it.
Niall Davis, the running back. Smith had Davis to the left, trying to get to Kelsey in the middle, pass incomplete. Intended for Travis Kelsey.
Good route there, working against Corey Nelson inside, and a great throw by Alex Smith, even protecting his guy, just couldn't come up with it. Game like this, you have to make all those kinds of plays. You know, those are the ones, because now you're 2nd and 10, and we've seen it all night. 2nd and 10, 3rd and long. They're not kind to Kansas City's offense.
From the 37, they bring a fullback in. They'll run Davis up the middle. He'll only gain maybe 2 yards. 3rd and a long 7 coming up. You're starting to look at that clock spinning down fast. You may only get the ball, if you're lucky, one more time here on the Kansas City side.
Kind of wish this one could go to overtime. I'm doing the math here. How are we going to get
17-16.
I could watch this one all night.
Good football, good teams. Every first down's an accomplishment. Hill on the move. Smith rolls it and threw it for Kelsey, and it's incomplete. Coverage underneath Justin Simmons, that rookie is seeing more and more time in the defensive secondary of Denver.
There he goes. There's Simmons right there. And he is a big, long, lean guy, and you exactly right. He is the one more and more. And he was the guy at the Combine. I remember him. They had like 7 different events, and he was in the top 5 in 5 of those. So he's one of those freakish kind of athletes, and we saw it when he jumped over and blocked that extra point for the game winner.
In New Orleans 2 weeks ago, Broncos off their bye since. Colquitt has to kick it away under 6 minutes. Norwood secures it at the 7. Flag down, he's down. They'll mark him at the 11. Good kick. 53 to give them space. Only a 4-yard return. But that's all dependent on the flag.
Yeah, looked like Kayvon Webster with a hole. They're going to be backed up
During
again.
the kick, holding. Number 36 of the receiving team. After this to the goal, first down, timeout.
Denver will have it at their own 6. So they have a 1-point lead, 5:37 remaining in regulation. NFC represented in the last 3 Super Bowls by either Seattle or Carolina. They'll go head-to-head. They've had a couple of very good playoff games the last 2 years. Seahawks atop the division. Desperation for the Panthers. See up in the Great Northwest. Football Night in America will start at 7 Eastern for Seattle time here on NBC. The penalty takes Denver back to the 4 to start this drive. And it's going to be a loss of a yard for Devontae Booker to start the drive.
You have to be careful here. Remember, holding in the end zone is a safety. Could another safety in this situation be the difference in this game? And there's Tamba Ali down.
He made the tackle and requires medical attention here.
Boy, what a dynamic leader of this organization that guy has been. You talk to anybody in Kansas City's organization, they all say the same thing. Just follow whatever Tamba Ali does. Such a great player for so long. I'll tell you the other guy you better keep your eye on in this situation, who's been a bit of a nightmare, is Chris Jones, number 95. He has been disruptive many times. You still need about 2 or 3 yards just to have a legitimate hunt opportunity here. I just can't imagine, though, they're going to give Trevor Siemian too many shots to throw from the end zone because of that possibility of holding in the end zone. They could flip this score.
Clock restarts after Ali's off the field, so this will take us inside of 5 minutes with this snap. The fullback, Andy Janovich, in there in front of Booker. Gives to Booker, is no place to go. Absolutely no place. Raheem Nunez Roches, Derek Johnson, all stacked it up. Here comes 3rd down.
Watch Derek Johnson just slither in here and make this tackle. 8 men in the box up there, basically just daring Denver to throw the ball. You'll have man coverage, take your shot. I'll tell you the other guy we haven't mentioned much tonight after that opening little story about him. Marcus Peters, apparently he's been pitching a shutout out there.
Yeah, he loves to take gambles. Let's get Demaryius Thomas up here. Don't really want to be throwing that way. 3rd and 11. Will they throw it at all? They empty the backfield, so here it goes. Siemian floats, throws, and it's caught for the first down by A.J. Derby, the tight end. What a huge addition they feel like he could be to bolster that position, and that's a massive first down for Denver.
And look what Trevor Siemian did. He drifts away from Justin Houston. What a good idea that was. And then there he is, the guy that they got for that specific reason. Anytime you're trading with the New England Patriots, you're always a little worried, are you doing the right thing or not? But for this franchise, they needed that middle of the field receiver and they got one in Derby. What a huge conversion that was.
3:35, Kansas City, a couple of timeouts with 2-minute warning. Trying to get the ball back. All they need is a field goal. That helps him. Behind the line again, Nunez Roches having an outstanding game. Stops Devontae Booker at a timeout for Kansas City at 3:27 to go. Attention time in Denver. Trevor Siemian, in the 4 home games he had played, had only thrown 2 touchdowns. Chrissy has thrown 2 here in this second half. We talked about the opportunity ahead for him. Boy, he's been very good in this half.
He's really been brilliant. He has. That last drive, what he just did there, clutch play.
And what movement there on the receiver. They got Sanders in the slot to flinch.
False start. Number 10 offense. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
It's always funny whenever you hear 75,000 people at the same time go, oh man. It's like my dad when I ran a red light. Oh God. I believe I gave him the keys.
You know, 5-yard penalties, you don't think much in this game, as we've seen with field position so huge. Quick count, Siemian escaping, running, diving forward to get as much yardage as he could. And he gets to the 23-yard line, 3 yards shy, but it's 3rd and manageable now. Timeout, Kansas City.
You just got to love it. When a young kid knows he's playing for his career, it's a 5-man rush, so there's not really room to step up, and he just sort of slithers between here, but watch him here. John Elway, like, we're not sitting down, we're not sliding in. The game's on the line with 1 more first down. Let's go get it.
You think Demaryius Thomas playing basketball in his time? Thomas downfield was throwing a little pick there.
Nice job on the outside by Donald Stevenson. Has it been perfect? No. Has it been better? Yes.
Shadows are massive here if you play that position. It's Elway, it's Manning, Osweiler, who was supposed to be here, and he leaves. Heck, what did people bring up around here the last week or so? Maybe Tony Romo if he's not with Dallas next year. Yeah. This poor kid is everywhere he turns, he hears it, but he's performing so well in a big spot right now.
Yeah, I haven't heard Gary Kubiak laugh that hard in a while when I brought that up. It's like,
So Denver's out of timeouts. There's 3:12 left. This is Kansas City's out of timeouts, I should say. This is a huge stop for them. They bring pressure. Siemian up top. It's caught. They lost Benny Fowler. Foot race. Fowler gone. Touchdown, Broncos. There's a flag down on the play. If it stands, it's 76 yards. The flag is at the 33-yard line in the Denver bench area. Almost the similar spot to where the bump happened with Kubiak before. It looks like
there's no foul on the play.
Okay.
There's no foul.
So they just dropped their flag. So it's a 76-yard touchdown to make it 23-16.
Wow. I mean, what Trevor Siemian just did, they sent the house after him, and he pulled a John Elway totally under control, and what a throw.
Manus extra point. So now Kansas City will need a touchdown and 2-point conversion to tie the game with no timeouts and 3 minutes left.
You can't block it when they send everybody. This is called a zero blitz. And Gaines has him one-on-one, no help anywhere. But it was Trevor Siemian who saw the coverage, knew exactly what it was. Just floated high over the top. Everybody's blitzing. What a play. You have to be happy for that young man. You just have to be happy for him. But the one thing it does do, Mike, is it gives Kansas City the ball back, and they're just down 1 score and a 2-point conversion.
Benny Fowler had a touchdown against the Chargers. He's the guy who can forever say, I caught Peyton Manning's last pass. It wasn't an official pass attempt that Fowler caught. It was a 2-point conversion in the Super Bowl, but that's Benny Fowler's one line of infamy. That's a big one here, one that matters a lot. As Siemian goes over 300 yards, 325, which is not what you thought would happen when you watched the first half of this one.
And only in a game like this do you see grown men playing patty cake. It's like the rawest of emotions out here.
All the way back and out of the back of the end zone. Hill, frustrated, couldn't get his hands on it.
Well, you can't do it better than this. Trevor Siemian here in the second half has just been absolutely brilliant. He starts out with Emmanuel Sanders once, Sanders twice. Third down and 11. Got to get out of your own end zone or you have to punt it back. And then this, the floater over the top.
Perfect throws.
Zero blitz. They brought the house after the kid, and he had the answer. Steve Talib, he knows who he wants his quarterback to be.
They went after Phillip Gaines, as you saw, and he's paid a price. Here go the Chiefs, down 8. Got to get a touchdown. Smith almost lost the ball. Somehow kept it alive as he's brought down and sacked. Derek Wolfe with that bandaged, harnessed right elbow got in there.
Well, we'll say it one more time. You get the outside rusher, and then you get the inside rusher, and then you get a sack.
In Kansas City without timeouts, 2.5 to go. Chris Conley, he's been very quiet. Big stiff arm on Chris Harris Jr. Got the sack yardage back. This Denver team has been uncanny in the fourth quarter this year.
The hot tub or the ice tank or whatever is going to be full with these football players tomorrow. They have laid it all on the line.
Chris, you had the 14-0 here to the rest of the season. They've outscored their opponents by 90 points in the fourth quarter this season. 3rd and 10, got 2 downs to get it. Out of timeouts. The only chance is on this drive. Smith throws, Kelsey hangs on. Where will the forward progress be? Will it be enough?
He just kept walking forward.
The floating spot puts it on the line at the 35 because it was a touchback. Touching the line is a first down. No need to measure. And we're going to get to the 2-minute warning. Do they get a play in before that? They do, just before. And it's Smith picking up about 13 yards with Conley. So Kansas City get that first down in a 2-minute drive. It always builds momentum. And here we go. Inside at 2. And the Chiefs go down and get a touchdown at a 2. And give Chris his wish. More Broncos Chiefs. Volkswagen postgame report coming up. Michelle will talk to the stars of the game. Bob will speak with Tony Dungy and Mike Florio, break it down, and we'll look ahead to the Cowboys and Vikings on Thursday and the Panthers Seahawks on Sunday on NBC. Final 2 minutes, Chiefs out of timeouts, and 1st and 10. Kendrick West is the back next to Alex Smith. Smith puts it up towards Kelsey, incomplete, but a flag down. Kayvon Webster says, not me.
Holding. Number 36, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic. First down.
Travis Kelsey basically just runs right into Kayvon Webster and is going to kind of drive him back right here, and then maybe a grab at the top of this route.
Not much. Technical term.
Yeah.
DeMarcus Ware out. Shane Ray rushing off the edge. 151.
No help. Everybody's one-on-one. Oh boy.
Side. Miller unabated to the quarterback, so they killed the play.
Offside. Number 58. Defense, 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Watch the center's head, Mitch Morrison. See if he gives a little snap here. Right there. Yeah, he kind of gave it a little snap of the head, and I think Von Miller thought he had a key.
And the hours that D-line coaches and D-linemen spend looking for just that one edge. Give me one little tip. To the 42-yard line. First and 5 throwing. Tyreek Hill, the fast man, goes down at the 33. Got the first down. Almost like he felt like he couldn't get any more, so let me save some time.
Or save something.
Yeah, that's right. 90 seconds to go. From the 34, Smith working the middle. Kelsey can't hang on. They came by Brandon Marshall, the linebacker.
I tell you, I'm so impressed with Brandon Marshall and the job he's done. He's had such a tough job. He had to take over for Danny Trevathan in that straight-up man-to-man coverage role. You get great tight ends. You end up getting great running backs coming out. And he has just been true to form all season long. There's your leader of that defense out there. Makes all the signal calls. Well, there's the leader, but the other guy makes the calls.
He's out Shaquille Barrett in the game, rotating these edge rushers down the stretch. DeMarcus Ware back in. Smith going Kelsey again. He hangs on. Ward makes the tackle, a yard shy of the first down. Spinning clock, $1:18 to go.
Well, you can just about count on it. Anytime you get Kelsey one-on-one with anybody, it's no insult to anybody, on anybody, that's where Alex Smith wants to go.
3rd and 1. 4-man rush and throw, knocks down Conley, but he makes the catch at the 19. They've got the first down again. No timeouts for Kansas City. They've struggled mightily in the red zone. Second worst team in the league in the red zone. Now they got to punch it in to have a chance for a tying 2-point conversion.
And that clock is ticking.
Down to 40 seconds left. Hitting time, shot for the end zone. It's broken up by Talib. Aqib Talib goes high to tip it away, intended for Conley. There's a penalty marker down at the back end. And it's in the secondary, in the middle of the field.
Man, what a play by Talib. I thought he had him.
Illegal contact. Number 43 defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
TJ Ward, the safety.
Watch Talib, he's got the underneath coverage, and because nobody came into flat, it allowed him to drop back. I think that was Justin Simmons who almost got there, but I'm not sure that Conley wouldn't have had that ball otherwise, and it would have counted.
35 seconds left. Chiefs at the Broncos 14. Miller and Ware both in the game. Hill in motion. Smith going the other side. Looking end zone again. Out of bounds for Albert Wilson. Bradley Roby just kind of rode him all the way to that sideline.
Well, defensively, you have the advantage now of they don't have all day. If they complete something in the middle of the field, you make the tackle, and now it's scramble drill time to try and get the next one off. Same thing happens if you get a sack. Obviously, that puts a great deal of pressure in this situation. Once again, Kelsey to the right, trips the other way.
Alex Smith swings the back this way, and Charkandrick West can't bring it in. It was tipped and incomplete. 3rd and 10 with 25 seconds left.
Well, Von Miller had to put one more thing on the resume tonight. A tip pass. There's still time to complete one in the middle of the field and still get up to the line of scrimmage. But remember, it's 3rd down here.
Right.
So if you do that and you don't pick up the first down, you can't run up and spike it. So you have to have 2 plays called in the huddle here just in case that happens.
You see, they have to get to the 4 to get that first down. Conley, lone receiver, bottom of the screen. Smith looking middle, looking end zone, incomplete. Harris was there in coverage. Wilson, the intended receiver, and we're down to 4th down.
Here we go. I don't know how many games I've done where Chris Harris was involved, but so many times tonight, whoever he has covered has just been blanketed, and he almost ended it right there.
Chiefs got to watch the play clock. 4th down. Bringing 5. Smith gets rid of it. It is caught, and it's a first down out of bounds with Hill with 15 seconds left. They needed 10, he got 11, and a couple of cracks at the end zone now.
And then Roby looked like he had a shot to hit him, and all he had to do was stop him short of the line right there. Let's see if he, because he was not at the first down marker. Hill had to turn up here, and if Roby could have made that hit, oh my goodness, what a ball game this is.
Fitting it will come down to this. First and goal from the 3, no timeouts for Kansas City. Pressure, Smith against the blitz. Inside it is caught by Hill. Just shy. He's just shy. The clock is running. Kansas City's got to get up and get the ball. Everybody thought it was a touchdown. They're not going to get a playoff, and Denver is going to get the win. The officials stop it with 1 second. They're going to look at it upstairs.
We will review the previous play.
Oh my goodness.
I thought he got in too when I first saw it.
They weren't going to get a snap off to clock it.
Knee goes down.
When does he get?
See, here we go. Where is the knee down? Down there. Is it down?
But does he have the ball yet, Chris? See, he doesn't get possession of the ball till the very end.
Which would work in his favor.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So if this is not possession, it actually works in his favor, because if he controls it there, you have the touchdown. Oh my goodness, there are so many things at work here.
And is it clear and obvious in this situation, because the call on the field is short, it has to be 100% sure for the replay center to overturn it.
And remember now, because there's 1 second, Kansas City is going to have to be ready.
Yes.
And I'm sure the officials will let them know, but if they mark it there, they're going to wind the clock, and you have to have that play ready, and it's going to be on the, whatever, 6-inch line at worst. Is there control? I would argue when he got control, he was over that line, or at least on that line, which is the same thing as over that line.
Again, when do you have control of the ball? And at that moment, where is the ball? And because of the bobble catching it in his body, it seemed like he secured it after the contact of the defender. And we could be looking at 24-22 and a 2-point conversion coming up.
Yeah, and Andy Reid may have to have 2 plays ready. One if he has to get a touchdown, and one if he has to get the 2-point conversion.
That's one thing. Sometimes they stay with the call on the field because there's not enough evidence. You've got all the evidence there. I think this one's going to be a touchdown.
After reviewing the play, when the receiver had complete control of the ball, he was in the end zone. It is a touchdown. Please set the game clock to 12 seconds.
They put it back at 12 because that's when it happens. So there's going to be a little more time on the clock. But, of course, we have the 2-point conversion here, which is the most important play coming up.
And I'm going to guess they're going to put Tyreek Hill in a very important position here. So you'll see the bobble just not under control, and then when it was, on the line.
Kansas City has gone for 2 once this year. It has been Kelsey, and they converted.
One thing we have not seen tonight is that jet sweep that they like to do to Tyreek Hill, where basically he lines up, comes in short motion, and they turn around and hand him the ball, and he's not in the game.
He's not.
Wow.
For the 2, for the tie. Smith will roll it, he'll throw it, and it is caught for the 2 by Demetrius Harris, of all people. Demetrius Harris, who didn't play football in college, was a basketball player at Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Hasn't caught a ball in 3 games. Money time ties the game.
They didn't even have basketball or football at the school. Here we go. What's he going to do? He's going to play basketball. Let's go get some rebound position right here. Box out, Chris Harris. And there you go. Can you believe this game is tied? This is sick.
6'7", 230. Using every bit of that space, and Harris couldn't even get around him. Guy had 3 catches 2 years ago, 7 catches and a touchdown last year. He's caught 10 balls this year, but they don't target him much in the big spot. He ties the game at 24.
Only has 10 catches on the year. And let's give a little credit, won't we, to Alex Smith at this point?
Yeah, right.
He had to answer that entire drive that went the other way, all the momentum, going the way of the Denver Broncos, and here he comes right back to tie it up.
There was no game managing. That was game winning. Or game tying at least.
You know, he's like, hey, what do you want me to do? You want me to play with a lead? You want me to be safe? I can be safe. You want me to go get a win? Go get a 2-point conversion? You got it.
You know what I like about you? You love football so much. You've seen a lot of football the last few weeks. And you said, I want overtime. And you're going to get your wish in all likelihood.
It's good by me. I'm checking the rest of the booth here. Everybody okay with that?
Absolutely.
It's all good. You know, every once in a while you see a game where just two teams fight their guts out.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's what's happened out here tonight. You just can't ask for anything more in a big game.
Denver does have 2 timeouts, 12 seconds left. They'll get the ball to the 25-yard line. Of course, you're at altitude, so you have the chance for the long field goal here, but reasonably with the 2 timeouts, you'd have to get somewhere near the 35-yard line to get a crack at it, maybe the 40-yard line to try a 58-yard field goal with McManus. So you're looking at have to cover, about 35 yards in 12 seconds with 2 timeouts. And what this game means one more time, especially with that Oakland victory, you want to lose this and be 2 back. Well, Denver's not even going to think about using those timeouts and taking a shot. It's going to take this to overtime.
You're at home. That's probably the right choice. That's all you need to do. Throw it down to Eric Berry. Let him run it back for a touchdown. He already did that to Carolina, right?
Well, remember, that's how the first matchup between these teams last year ended in that Thursday night game. You thought the thing was over, and then, boom, the defensive score changed the game.
Was that boom in honor of John Madden?
Sure,
one of those?
Of course it was.
I do that every once in a while there.
Talk about a tremendous night for these 2 stud pass rushers off the edge, although Houston was held in check a bit, Chris, in that second half and allowed Denver to get rhythm and success on the offensive end.
Yeah, and you just have to wonder how healthy he is. You know, he went out for a time, maybe the shoulder's hurting a little bit, but this guy, for him to come back this soon, is pretty amazing.
A sudden death overtime period. Each team will have the opportunity to possess the football unless the first team that possesses the ball scores a touchdown or there's a defensive score. There will be 2 timeouts by each team, and all replays will be done from the replay booth. This is heads, this is tails. You're the visitor. What are you going to call? Heads. Heads is the call. Tails it is. You won the toss. You want to receive. You want to receive. Denver won the toss. Elects to receive at this end.
So off we go again to overtime on a Sunday night. And we'll be right back after these messages from your local NBC station. Overtime here in Denver, all even at 24. And the Broncos will get it first. Trevor Siemian over 300 yards, most passing yards of his brief NFL career. Terrific second half. Kansas City responds. Capri Bibbs is back deep to receive the kick. Twice overtime has ended with a kickoff return for touchdown. In NFL history, Cairo Santos with the kickoff. And it'll come out to the 25. The star of the game for Kansas City has been Tyreek Hill. We discussed him earlier in the broadcast, scoring in different ways. The first rookie with a rushing, receiving, and return touchdown in a game since 1965, and the great Gale Sayers. And this was the one in the final seconds, not getting possession there until he was at the goal line, and that's why the fans were booing Pete Morelli. Just anybody who represented that call, they were unhappy thinking that it should have been down in front of the goal line. Broncos begin overtime with Devontae Booker with a nice run for about 7 yards before Philip Gaines made the tackle.
Yeah, and Mike, they came out with 2 deep safeties that time because of the fact they've been getting burned in that man coverage. So what do they turn around and do? Here we go. We're just going to run the football then in that situation. So we'll see how long Kansas City willing to stay with that. Remember, it has been Philip Gaines that they've been getting after for the big plays.
Denver touchdown wins the game. First possession here of overtime. Try that run again to the left, and I forget who's going to get credit for the tackle, but the penetration of Raheem Nunez-Roches, the second-round pick out of Southern Miss, a factor there.
There's no doubt about it, and it's been so impressive to see the Kansas City Chiefs basically with backups and draft picks playing along that defensive line, looking as good as they ever have. I mean, this is a prideful bunch, but these are a bunch of guys that maybe 2 months ago you would have said they're definitely not playing for the Kansas City Chiefs.
And Jarvis Jenkins is in there. He was with the Jets for most of the first half of this season. The throw on 3rd and 1 with Siemian, and the slant is caught by Demaryius Thomas. Tackled right at the 45. Berry there along with Marcus Peters. But they work on Peters in a big spot, and Thomas comes through.
Yeah, well, you better hang on to the football because that's really the first time that we've seen Marcus Peters giving up a play, and it was the Carolina game where he basically stole it at the end of the game on a catch very similar to that and turned that game around.
Away from Kelvin Benjamin, reception late in that game. It was one of the Chiefs' comeback victories that they've had this year. From the 45, play action, Siemian. The middle, incomplete. A lot of Chiefs' hands were very close to that one intended for Jordan Taylor.
Oh, boy, that was Ramik Wilson. There's a look at him on the outside. Here comes Taylor going against Gaines. Watch the linebacker. It goes right over his hands. I thought Ramik Wilson was going to catch that one. You'll see it right down the throwing lane here. And just couldn't quite get up high enough to get that one.
Saw the veteran move by Gaines. Tug on the back of Taylor's jersey, get in front of him. Try to get in the way of the pass as well. 2nd and 10. They will draw it. It is Bibbs. Only 2 yards. 3rd and 8. Coming up, Kendall Reyes joining Tom Bahali on the tackle.
Kendall Reyes working on Max Garcia and just sheds the block and makes the play going right there. Watch this one. Stand him up, extend your arms, throw him aside, make the play. Beautiful.
Broncos have always been successful in overtime. Matter of fact, they have the most overtime regular season wins in league history. 3 last year, including the Sunday nighter right around this time of the year against the Patriots. That C.J. Anderson run, a 48-yarder. It's 3rd and 8 here. Siemian's flushed. He floats it out, caught by Booker. Booker makes a man miss to the 30-yard line, a gain of 23 yards.
So many times it's when you get your backs on a linebacker, as it happened here. You've got Derek Johnson bouncing out there, and then you've got the young Devontae Booker, who is an excellent receiver coming out of college, making a huge play there. And Derek Johnson, you could tell with that Achilles still limping around.
Officially 22 on the reception. In field goal range, but the touchdown ends incomplete. Bibbs tripped up in the backfield. He loses 2 yards on that one.
I think his quarterback got him. Looked like Trevor Siemian tripped him. Because as soon as he tapped that left foot, well, let's take a look here. Makes the cut.
Game's hard enough, right?
Yeah.
4 minutes gone in overtime. On 2nd and 12, Siemian looking up top. Flag is down, and the pass incomplete. Demaryius Thomas was trying to get open. Kenneth Acker was in coverage. And it'd be against the Chiefs.
Pass interference, number 27, defense, automatic, first down.
Anytime you get the one-on-ones on the outside, and here's young Kenneth Acker, watch how much physical presence there is as the huge Demaryius Thomas just kept forcing his way to the outside to get that jump ball thrown. And there you go. And so now this Kansas City defense, it gives up a lot of yards, but it just been so good and so dynamic in the red zone. Gotten so many turnovers down here all season long. And they do it one more time. Exhausted.
20 and Booker. First and 10 is 20. Booker, no gain. Acker, who was flagged on the last play, makes this one in the run game.
It's amazing when you play at that level of intensity for 4 quarters and you say, I'm just going to give it everything I have. And then here comes this 5th quarter. And you can just see it on their faces out there. They're all going for oxygen. They're all trying to catch their breath. And they're all still fighting their guts out.
Doing it at altitude. A little edge of the Broncos, a little deeper right now because of injuries and also coming off a bye week. 2nd and 10, Siemian. Escaping. Look out from behind. Houston gets him. It'll be a run gain of a yard. As Houston finally ended up making the play.
Yeah, they had it set up. They were basically going, here's Justin Houston on the outside. And they had a double move going to Emmanuel Sanders at the top of the screen. And it just didn't work out. Nicely covered that time by Peters, who is always a little susceptible to those plays, but answered the bell on that one.
The 2 play callers who couldn't find anything. First downs were so tough to come by in the first quarter. They figured things out as they've gone along. Protections. Just a well-coached, well-played game. 3rd and 9. Ali pushed his offensive tackle trying to block him right into Siemian and comes up with a sack. He rode Russell Okung right back to the quarterback.
When Russell Okung kicks that back left leg back, you'll see him set it behind him here. And at that point, the bull rush, you have no chance whatsoever. Once that foot gets back like that, it is just a straight bull rush right back into the quarterback. And that takes care of that.
Brandon McManus from 44. If you weren't with us earlier, Thomas Gafford, the snapper, just got here a few days ago. The snap is perfect. McManus kick is good.
Yeah, I had it all the way. Don't worry about it, brother.
So the Chiefs, touchdown win. Field goal, overtime goes on. They don't score. The Broncos get the win. Overtime continues in a minute. Alex Smith led a terrific drive at the end of the game. Trevor Siemian was fabulous in the second half. In a quarterback town where he had not had those good home games, Siemian has been really good against an outstanding Kansas City defense. Considering how many times these guys have been sacked and hit and jostled and taken off the spot, they've stepped up. Good performances tonight. Tremendous offensive Tyreek Hill has been a big part of the Kansas City story. Well, it's going to be brought out by DeAnthony Thomas. He hesitated. He decides to bring it up. And Thomas comes down the sideline across the 30. It gets to the 34-yard line. McManus, the kicker, had to hit him out of bounds.
Well, we found a new star in this league. Tyreek Hill starts off with a little 86-yard return of a free kick after a safety. And he hit the Jets, and you could forget about catching him at that point. That wasn't enough. Here we go. We're going to hand it to him on a little jet sweep around the outside. Some good blocks. We'll score it that way. And then with 1 second on the clock, controversy maybe, but touchdown, yes. And here we go for one more drive.
So used to seeing touchbacks here in Denver. Flags down. Did they have too many men out there defensively before the snap?
Prior to the snap, we had 12 men on the field defense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
So instead of getting the drive to start at the 25-yard line, you get the kick return, which was rare here, to the 35, and now the 5 on this. So you're going to start the 40-yard line for Kansas City.
Yeah, and I think it was Kayvon Webster who was trying to call for a timeout as he was running off the field. But because they don't want you using that as a delay tactic at the ends of games, it came up in the Super Bowl, right? And forget about it. If they have 12 on the field, I'll take the penalty and run the clock, all those things. That's why it was put in.
So it's 1st and 5 from the 40, and Spencer Ware will only gain maybe a half yard, not much. Again, Chiefs touchdown for the win, tie to extend the game. They don't score, they lose. Kansas City goes 3 tight ends. Tyreek Hill in the game as they spread the field on Denver. 2nd and 4, Smith underneath. Caught for the first down by Hill at the 46-yard line.
You know, Mike, it was a great strategy there. They put 3 tight ends in the game to make it look like it was going to be a power run kind of formation. And then what did they do? They spread the whole field, and you could see Denver scrambling around trying to figure out which one of those linebackers was going to have to go out in coverage and make a play, pick up the first down. Nicely done that time by Andy Reid.
Remember, Andy's got a couple offensive coordinators. Matt Nagy, good young quarterback coach who shares the job with Brad Childress, the former Vikings head coach. Really good offensive minds. Action to Hill, doesn't distract the Denver defense as Charcandrick West is stopped. Gain of a couple. Brandon Marshall and DeMarcus Ware the stop.
I know we've about worn you out on Von Miller, but the things that he does is really kind of remarkable. He was 3 yards up the field that time, stopped, circled back, and got in on this play. Watch this. Back underneath and still gets in on the play.
If the viewer's been worn out, what do you think Kansas City feels at this point?
Oh, man, they're thinking we got to play him again.
This is the 3 tight end look again. They will play him again on Christmas night on NBC. Ware off the edge, doesn't get there. The Smith throw is caught by Kelsey. Travis Kelsey at the 31-yard line. Pickup of 21 yards of the first down.
They just do that double in cut here, bring the guy inside. Look at those moves. I love the moves by the tight end. Oh my goodness, he had better moves than I did. He just has a little wiggle at the top of his routes. They're so clever for a big guy. They just are just a little wing. Yeah, let's keep it going, man. Let's go ahead and score a touchdown. Get out of here.
7 catches tonight. Ja Reed is in on the offensive line. Ware left jump cut, got away from the would-be tackle by Stewart, and turns what would have been a loss of yardage into a gain to the 25-yard line.
Boy, it is a good thing that Shane Ray can run, because there was nobody else left out there. Watch this jump cut first of all, set it up, and now it's just a foot race with Shane Ray on the outside because there was one safety in the middle of the field, and that was about it.
Nice run by Ware, one of the better looking runs of the night for Kansas City.
They've been doing the same look all night. Travis Kelsey one way, 3 receivers the other way.
Under 6 minutes left in overtime. They'll run west to the left. First down for Charcandrick West at the 20-yard line. That was Ray over there again on the stop. Also watch the clock here in overtime. We're down to 5.5 left. So if Kansas City scores a field goal, there's not going to be a ton of time left to break the tie.
Okay, I don't want 2 ties, though. You know, Mike, what they're doing, though, they're starting to at least show that jet sweep now. They're using Tyreek Hill almost as a diversion coming across. We'll see if sooner or later they give it to him.
It's Niall Davis as the running back now. Davis inside Stewart, doesn't miss that hit. Darian Stewart comes down and tags him after a gain of a yard inside of 5 minutes left in OT.
I mean, the play is so good. Darian Stewart came from 10 yards deep to make that play basically at the line of scrimmage. I mean, it's just first-class defensive play that we've seen all night long.
Bunch formation, 3 receivers, and Spencer Ware heads over there, so they have 4 to that side. Kelsey to the top. Smith trying to throw it underneath. Have we heard a whistle yet? For an incomplete pass. It's incomplete. That will be 3rd down. Von Miller may have hit the arm of Smith here.
Make sure the arm was going forward. And right now, Wade Phillips has adjusted as well. They are taking Kelsey to that 1 receiver side up there, and they are bringing safety help over the top. So now they've shifted him down here to the 3 receiver side, and they've left one-on-one with Demetrius Harris on the other side.
Chiefs taking timeout here before 3rd and 9.
Timeout, Kansas City, first team timeout, 30-second timeout.
One of the 2 they have in overtime. You know, we look at those hits, Chris, so often. The first thing we're worried about, did the ball come out? We forget about, that's got to hurt.
Well, there's no question when your elbow is flexed like that, you can see, you can imagine the torque on that elbow when you're throwing a football or a baseball or whatever, and all of a sudden somebody hits that arm. I'm sure it's sore. And I'm also sure Alex Smith's not coming out of the game unless it just doesn't work anymore. He's going to throw a couple of balls on the side. It was a good timeout.
That's a great point. It's such a veteran coach, Andy Reid. He's you got the 2 timeouts in overtime, but you can't afford to not be completely ready for this play. And if you're a decision maker and the guy's going to throw it for you isn't right, let's make sure. Spencer Ware will be the back. Tyreek Hill is right on that 9 in 3rd and 9. He's in the slot here in the middle of the 3 to the right. Broncos bring pressure. It's for Kelsey. Couldn't get his head turned around in time. There's contact. There's no flag as Justin Simmons is again in coverage. And here comes Cairo Santos to continue the game.
There was definitely some contact on the tail end of this. Let's just take a look. Nope, no foul. Really nicely done by the officials. Sometimes those calls are so tough. And really well played that time by Justin Simmons, the young player.
There is pressure numbers. This from 37 to continue the game. If he misses, the Broncos win. And the game goes on with only 4:19 left here in overtime. 27 apiece. Next score wins in what has been a terrific one tonight in Denver. Each team 2 long drives yielding field goals, so the next score wins this game. And the prospect perhaps of a 3rd tie game in the NFL this season. Perhaps an unintended consequence or result of the change in the overtime rules, where that first possession field goal doesn't win it. The other team gets a chance to match it. And thus we've seen more ties than we had in the past. But there's still a lot of time between now and then. 4:19 left in this extra period. Santos kicks, Capri Bibbs. 27 all. I think players have had a good game on the offensive end. Chris, this guy, Emmanuel Sanders.
He's something else. He really is. Not only is he the deep threat, he's also that quick guy underneath that can create some space and pick up some easy first downs. And I think that just his second 100-yard game of the year. And I'm sure Trevor Siemian's got to be thinking, what do I have to do to win this game? We keep going down and taking the lead, and we're still not winning.
Devontae Booker, the running back, as the second OT possession begins. Siemian drifting, has space to run, will take off and throttle it down after a gain of 8. Get out of bounds with 4:10 left. It'll be 2nd and 2.
And it's exactly what they were looking for out of Trevor Siemian. We haven't seen him run much, but since he hurt that shoulder, he just wasn't running at all. And for Gary Kubiak, he thought that so many of their key first downs in the first month of the season came from his legs and coming out and making plays. And boy, 2nd and short sets up some big opportunities. You want to take a shot down the field, this is always a good time for that.
Run by Booker for the first down to the 38-yard line. A.J. Derby, who had a big catch earlier, helped clear the path. Derek Johnson slow to get off of the Broncos running back.
Got a good block down, and then it was Derby coming across. Block it down right here, and then a kick out coming right across here from Derby and Schofield.
I mentioned he had a good preseason, Derby did, with New England. You're not going to get a lot of time with Gronk and Martellus Bennett up there, but he's factoring in here for the Broncos. Booker out, Capri Bibbs, the back. Blitz coming, Siemian gets rid of it. Incomplete, extended for Demaryius Thomas, with Philip Gaines close by.
Yeah, and I knew it wasn't going to be long. Bob Sutton's not the type to sit back and go, okay, let's just let him go down and kick a field goal here. Brought both inside linebackers that time. And now they have something to work with. Here comes the dime defense on the field, and this is their favorite look. This is what they like.
Houston directing the pass rush traffic. He'll start from the inside. 2nd and 10 against that defense. They'll run it with Bibbs, who dives forward to be 3 yards shy of the first down with 3:20 left in overtime.
Hey, that was some effort that time by Kendall Reyes, because that one had a chance of breaking out of there. Came from the backside and made a diving stop.
Yeah, Denver has 2 timeouts. There is a 2-minute warning in overtime.
I think this is exactly why they came up with A.J. Derby. It wouldn't surprise me at all here if he's the receiving threat.
He's 83. He's on the 3 in 3rd and 3. We have a whistle and a timeout. Taken by the Broncos.
Denver, first team timeout, 30-second timeout.
So each team with 1 timeout left. You're almost kind of in that old overtime mentality right now. Get it down in field goal range here. Go another 20, 23 yards or so. Give McManus a shot at it. It would be a game winner.
What do you think the Raiders are cheering for here? A tie? Probably, right? Then they still have a game and a half on everybody at that point.
Exactly.
So they're cheering for the clock. You got Broncos fans, and you got Chiefs fans, and you got clock fans now at the end of this thing.
And the point with the Raiders that we'll reiterate again with these teams down the stretch, they have to go on the road to play all these teams. And through all of this, and we're talking about the 3 in the AFC West, somehow, some way, Phillip Rivers and San Diego are going to be right in the mix of deciding what happens here.
Who wants to play them?
No, nobody. 3rd and 3. Siemian fires. It's caught for the first down. Great call, Chris. It's A.J. Derby who keeps this drive going.
It's all you want. You just want the one-on-one matchup, that time against the safety. Daniel Sorensen right here. Here comes Derby. Little push off. Maybe Gronk taught him that when he was in New England. But those are the kind of conversions that just make huge differences in an offense, and especially for a young quarterback who needs that threat in the middle. The one spot that Trevor Siemian has really struggled this year is between the numbers, between 0 and 10 yards. He's made big mistakes in there, and you can just see that comfort now starting to develop with A.J. Derby.
So we have hit the overtime 2-minute warning. They're at the 44. From here, a field goal is 62 yards. They need another first down or so to get a realistic shot at a game-winning field goal. Year 5 in the league for Donald Stevenson, first 4 with Kansas City. Chris, he lost his starting job, but came back in this game. He's had a huge impact.
Yeah, he has. At least he stopped the bleeding a little bit on the outside, and Justin Houston has to be completely exhausted just playing his 2nd game, and for Stevenson, it's not always pretty. He just punching and staying in front and doing whatever he can, but his block there gave time for A.J. Derby to get open.
And knowing Houston being a Chief, you wonder if that knowledge has helped him in this case here. Needing about 6-7 yards to get into McManus field goal range. Bibbs is the back, and he is going to be kept right about the line of scrimmage, if not behind. Derek Johnson, the tackle. Kansas City only has 1 timeout with 1:45 left, so it looks like Alex Smith might not get his hands back on the ball unless Denver misses a field goal.
Well, and plus you want to run this clock down all you can, because if you happen to miss that thing, you don't want to leave it there.
Right. But I mean, you got to get a first down. You have to get more yardage here. They're at the 44 now. It's 62-yard field goal attempt it would be. McManus long 57. Of course, we are at altitude.
Got one-on-one coverage on the outside if you want to throw one deep.
2nd and 10. Siemian looking that way. Pass is deflected and knocked down, incomplete. We'll have 3rd and 10 coming up.
There's Chris Jones one more time getting that hand up, and one of the things they talked about with Chris Jones is he's a rare guy, Bob Sutton was saying this, that can push the pocket and then still be athletic enough to jump. He said a lot of times those guys who are just sit at the line of scrimmage. You get no pressure whatsoever. They're the ones that block the passes. This guy gets pressure and blocks passes.
This is a pressure play with a lot of decisions to be made if you don't get anything. 3rd 10, the Chiefs are bringing pressure. Siemian puts it up top. It is incomplete for Fowler. Benny Fowler with Philip Gaines, who's been beaten a lot here tonight. Now it is 4th and 10 at the 44-yard line. Do you try a 62-yard field goal? Because like you said, it gives Kansas City great field position.
Look at Kubiak. He's like, wait a minute here.
Joe DiCamillo's the special teams coach is there.
I don't know if you can take that kind of chance, can you? As long in his career is 57. Almost have to punt this football.
And again, it is cold. You know, the temperature here is in the low 40s, upper 30s. Michelle?
Well, I talked to Brandon McManus before the game. Now, he told me he could convert 60 yards in either direction. Going in this direction in the pregame, he converted a 55-yarder. But again, he said he could convert from 60, and the wind has really died down here. Not much of a factor at all, Mike.
It has, Michelle. And it would be 62 from here with the ball at the 44. So Kubiak takes a timeout. This is one of those, because if you attempt the field goal from that spot, you would give Kansas City the ball at the Denver 48-yard line.
I just can't imagine you can do that.
So then what do you do? Do you punt or do you go for it? You got to punt it, right?
I think you got to punt it.
Because the punt, then the scenario is overtime. Or tie, I should say.
Yeah.
Well, here comes McManus trotting out.
Man.
The longest overtime field goal in NFL history is Sebastian Janikowski, 57 yards.
All right, let me just say this. If you have some sort of trick play to try and draw them off sides here, maybe when you want to go with this. Because at that point, you lose nothing. You still punt the football. At least go out there, see if they'll jump.
And you know what? I think Kansas City just talked about that because Tyreek Hill had come on the field thinking the missed short field goal could be returned by a player. Then Hill went back and they put more of a defensive mode out there to just protect. Longest field goal in NFL history was made here. Matt Prater, 64 yards, and Jason Elam, 63. This is 62, would be the longest overtime game-winning field goal in league history. It's hit hard, it is wide left and no good, and now Kansas City will get the ball at the 48-yard line of the Broncos, and they're only a first down or so away from winning this game with no timeouts and 1:03 left.
This decision is so interesting. This kick just hooked too hard. He may have had a shot at it had it been nailed straight, but now you're giving them the ball on your side of the 50. Gutsy move.
But Cairo Santos hopes now that his team can get a first down. Santos' long is 54 yards. That was made at Houston. So that would mean get a first down to get in that field goal range. And again, altitude, you add a little bit. Weather is getting cool. All right, so here we go. Up to the Denver defense. 63 seconds remaining in the overtime period. Andrew West is the back flag down. Free play for Smith if he can get rid of it. He scrambles, he gets
wide open.
Oh, he ran it. He's down at the 42-yard line. You're right.
Oh, man, he had somebody running wide open down the boundary, and he just didn't see it.
Number 94 defense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Ware jumped, thus it was a free play.
I couldn't tell if he was over the line of scrimmage or not, but there was somebody just streaking down the boundary by themselves. It would have been a walk-in touchdown. All the way on the outside to the left. You'll see him come in the background, I think. There's nobody back there at all.
It's Albert Wilson. The penalty still makes it 1st and 5, 55 seconds left. Kelsey isolated, bottom of the screen again. Smith throws, it's caught, first down, they have no timeouts. Tyreek Hill is down to the 32-yard line, 47 seconds left. From here, a field goal is 50 yards. They're going to spike it, kill the clock. So Wilton there on the end, making sure he was on the line of scrimmage. There was not a penalty in the last minute with the clock running that would have cost them yards.
And now the game is completely under the control of Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs because of the fact that they attempted that field goal. Now you run the clock down. You're going to try it with maybe 5 seconds to go. You have a timeout left. Complete control now. Whatever Andy Reid chooses to do, you may want to take a couple of runs, see if he can gain a few more yards, and then take the shot to win it.
And thank you. They do have one timeout left. My mistake. Denver's out of timeouts. 2nd and 10.
Offside.
Pressure off the edge. Throw to Kelsey underneath. He's got it at the 25. First down to the 20 to the 16-yard line. The blitz looked like it came offside from T.J. Ward. No flag down, but a much more makeable field goal now for Kansas City.
And a rare missed tackle. Darian Stewart that time just unable to get Kelsey on the ground. So good with that run after the catch. And now Andy Reid has enough, but he does leave himself just enough time if in fact this thing were to be bobbled or whatever.
A first down bad snap. Could retry the kick if it's thrown away by the holder.
Now just remember this though. What happened in that Saints game? It was Justin Simmons who jumped over the center, and it was Will Parks who returned it. We have seen it multiple times this year. I would imagine Andy Reid has an answer for that one as well, but take a little running jump.
Just remember what happened in the overtime game with Cincinnati in London against Washington. Looked like Hopkins had a very short, makeable game-winning field goal. He missed it, and the game ended up tied.
The other guy's Aqib Talib coming off the edge. He's awfully good at blocking these kicks as well. There's Justin Simmons right over the ball.
James Winchester snaps. Dustin Colquitt holds. Cairo Santos.
Simmons.
34-yard attempt. For the win. Off the upright. And in. And in. Unbelievable game winner. Kansas City. You gotta be kidding me.
The only way this game could end. Holy smokes. I didn't know what had happened.
Nope.
I couldn't tell, did it go through or not? That thing hit that post hard. How did it go through?
Oh, it just caught the inside of the upright. And the fans back there thought it was going out. It is good. Cairo Santos. You see it passing on this side of the post. The Kansas City Chiefs with an incredible comeback down the stretch. This guy's defense started it. Some nights it's your night. This guy had a great night. Deserved a better fate. But the decision to go for the long field goal by Kubiak left the short field. Santos off the upright. The Chiefs win. And the Volkswagen postgame report is coming up. But first, these messages from your local NBC station.